All right, a good evening to all of you. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn here with Owen Fritz. We told you we will be starting a new stream here very soon. This is going to be long form severe weather coverage stretching from the Miami Valley all the way to the Mid Ohio Valley. We have a brand new tornado warning that has been issued for Claremont and Hamilton County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Pleasant Hills. Owen, I'm not totally surprised to see this. I was going to be mentioning this, but they've already went ahead and issued it. But this includes the immediate downtown Cincinnati metro. That's thunderstorm looking to be very dangerous coming towards Forest Park, Blue Ash, Cincinnati, Newtonsville, Batavia. That's Claremont and Hamilton County here. Goes until 11 p.m. This is radar indicated rotation. But we're starting to see some more tornado warnings popping up. This is our second one here in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. So one of the things to keep in mind as we're looking at this is not the Claremont storm that was producing the hail. This is actually the one approaching from the metro area, so along the line. So some of those lines were exhibiting, we talked about earlier near the southern border, like Dillsboro and some of those other lines, we're having some of these little bit of these inflow notches that we talked about earlier. And as it tapped across the state line, it's got into some air here, and you can very clearly see it on reflectivity, the area that they're talking about. If you look at the reflectivity side, you can see a very clear inflow notch just north of the Cincinnati metro area by College Hill and south of Forest Park. You can see that very clearly on radar. That's the area that we're looking at. So if you're anywhere in these areas, if you're in Reading, Blue Ash, Sharonville, Forest Park, North College Hill, they extended that warning even further to the south of Millbury, Willowville, all the way out. So pretty much the Cincinnati metro area, and even points into that Claremont County area. Make sure that you're seeking shelter, again, for northeastern Hamilton County and northwestern Claremont County until 11 o'clock. Get to the lowest level of your house. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible and cover your neck and head. Make sure that you are doing that. It can save your life. Again, make sure that you are getting to the lowest level of your house, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get under something sturdy. Cover your neck and head. If you're in a mobile home, make sure that you get out now. Again, we're looking at that. There's another tornado warning for Kentucky, so we're okay on that. So that one was for Kentucky. But we do have this tornado warning that we're continuing to watch. Very clear to see on radar. Again, right now it's radar indicated. We'll have to continue to see what goes on there coming out of the chat room and the Skywarn group that's active down there right now, Nick.
And with that, again, folks, right now you can clearly see this tornado, the potential tornado that's sitting, if there is one, is going to be sitting here right along Interstate 75. And that's where it's going to be crossing there. That's going to be south of the 475 interchange. I'm sorry, yeah, it's 275, excuse me, not to get confused with Toledo, but 275 and 75, just south of that interchange. That's where the strongest chance of a tornado is going to be. Blue Ash, Madeira, downtown Cincinnati, Newtown, being a safe place right now, as Owen very well said. Get to your safe place, and if you have a bicycle helmet, we're seeing some studies with that being a very viable tool, very vital and very important to have. So get to your basement, small place, get into an interior room, but make sure you have something to protect yourself. Take your pets in there with you, to get your children in there with you too. I know we're getting to the evening and very soon into the overnight time frame. Very dangerous storm coming through the Cincinnati metro. I would not take this lightly. Not to take much attention, I don't want to take too much attention off of this, but the storm that is producing golf ball size hail coming out of portions of Brown County and into Highland County near Morristown. If you live up in Hillsborough, New Vienna, Lynchburg, that storm's still exhibiting significant signs of very strong hail, destructive hail, and it's not just going to be hailing for 10 seconds and it's over. It's going to be a couple minutes of some good hail. We can even see some accumulating hail. We saw that yesterday, and I even saw some pictures this morning still at 10 o'clock around South Charleston. There was still hail left over from last night in these big piles. So there's a lot of hail. The atmosphere with the photographs that are out there, and that's a term for another day, but the atmosphere that we have in place today is just conducive for large amounts of hail. Not necessarily large-sized hail, but large amounts of hail that can pile up very quickly. So, again, coming back into the tornado warning here, Owen, Cincinnati, very highly populated area. It's very spread out, but it's a very dense population across Hamilton County. Got a lot of people impacted there. Hopefully everybody is taking their precautions. I'm not seeing any reports that there is a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Greene and Fayette and Clinton and Warren counties. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But very destructive storms beginning to make their march east into more of the Miami Valley and across southwestern Ohio. But funnel cloud also reported in Ohio County, Indiana. and that'll be with that tornado warning there into Kentucky. But and nevertheless, here in Cincinnati, this is kind of a worst case scenario, seeing a tornado warning for a densely populated area.
Absolutely. I mean, this kind of reminds me a little bit of Dayton, a little bit where hopefully not, but it's not as strong, I should say. But anytime we see this populated area, it's very important that you are seeking shelter. You can very clearly see where this is at, especially on the reflectivity side. But even if you're looking at the velocity side, you could see this very easily as well. So near the town of Blue Ash, basically where the strongest point of this is at, right over really the town of Blue Ash and Reading in that area. That's the strongest point of the storm. But anywhere in the polygon, you need to be seeking shelter. The ASOS station there is reporting gusts of over 51 knots, so it's very strong winds there at the Cincinnati ASOS station at the airport. So that's also indicative here of these storms. Now, these storms, again, are firing along a stationary boundary. We'll put up maybe the map a little bit, but it's firing. All these storms, if we zoom out, is firing along a stationary boundary out ahead of this a little bit. So we're having to keep an eye on some of the other areas as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see some more severe thunderstorm warnings come out of some other areas. But if you're anywhere in the tornado watch, and I think, Nick, we can pop that up on the screen in just a few minutes as well. But yeah, the tornado threat is still very real. I know some of you are asking about that. Yeah, the tornado threat is very real. Some of you are underneath the tornado watch for a little bit longer here this evening, and we'll have to see if they elect to issue a new watch. But not to take that again, not to take it again off of the tornado warning. Again, if you're looking at that, make sure you're getting to the lowest of your house and covering your neck and head. Make sure you have a way to tune into media and that sort of thing, right? Outdoor warning sirens are exactly that, outdoor warning sirens. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you are in shelter right now, especially if you're in the tornado warning. Along the rest of this line we're looking at, it's all severe thunderstorm warnings. Pretty much the entire line is warned for the rest of that. For a severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of this. So make sure that you are, again, keeping an eye to the sky, especially if you're out of front of this, because you can also see some strong winds. But again, keeping our focus here a little bit on the severe thunderstorm warning, or excuse me, the tornado warning. And this storm cell has also been producing, Nick, some very strong hail, 1 to 2 inch hails, not out of the question. I know we had amateur radio reported some hail at 1 1/4 inch hail. So put that in perspective. That's $half size hail that's being reported there, just outside of the town of Sharonville, right where this tornado warning is in effect, Nick.
Yeah, right now, Owen, I think if we have a tornado in progress or in the developing stage, it's going to be right near the town of Madeira. Looking at the reflectivity, you can kind of again see where we have a very solid looking inflow notch. That's going to be crossing right now US 22 at Interstate 71, right there near the town of Madeira, just to the south of the city of Blue Ash. That's also going to be crossing, again, US 22, I-71 portions of Cross County Highway. Also has just crossed portions of US 42 down towards Red Bank Road and Madison Road. And we're continuing to watch that very closely. I do want to show you the kind of the semi-regional view. And they are issuing now numerous tornado warnings from the Cincinnati Metro into northern Kentucky. So this line starting to exhibit multiple what we call like little phalanges. And I think we may see more tornado warnings very soon. They just issued one for Florence. If that trend continues, we're going to see a new one here for southern Clermont County very soon. Right now it's just northwestern Clermont County. But and this line is we had the Boeing structure a little while ago by Richmond and Connorsville, and now we are seeing numerous little vortices or little phalanges. That's kind of I like your terminology on that, but that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a new severe thunderstorm warning for Adams, Brown, Highland, and Pike that goes until 11:15. We don't want to forget about some of you there. Again, so if you're in that area, they issued that until 11:15, a new severe thunderstorm warning. Basically, the hazard is $half size hail or very large hail. Winds and not indicative on that storm just yet, but very large hail. So they talked about this earlier. We're starting to tap into that prime time and that energy that we've always talked about. If you've ever watched this before, I always call it prime time. And guess what? It is prime time. We're tapping in. The sun is going down. The atmosphere is very unstable right now. The warm air is lifting. So we're kind of in that prime time over the next couple of hours. I always say between 10 p.m. and 1 o'clock, if something's going to happen, it usually happens right in that time frame. So that's what we're looking at. And these storms a little bit are firing ahead of that stationary boundary that is set up across the region, which is was very interested to see some of these start to fill in, but wouldn't be surprised with the type of atmospheric setup that we have today. But again, looking and continuing to look at the Cincinnati metro area in the tornado warning, you very clearly can still see the hook, and the hook is even becoming a little bit more defined in what we're looking at for Hamilton County. So the National Weather Service is saying the entire squall line in Hamilton County, the circulations may have produced some tornadoes already. That's what they're saying on the National Weather Service. There are also maybe some tornadoes along segments of these lines and some damaging straight line winds. So basically, National Weather Service is putting out wording like that, stating, hey, along this entire line, there could be some more tornado warnings coming tonight. The people that are working down there tonight, very respected meteorologist out of the National Weather Service in Wilmington. The particular guy on the warning desk tonight is very he's worked a lot of big events, so he knows what he's looking for, and he's very good at what he does. So I take him at his word, especially. I have a lot of trust in this particular meteorologist tonight that's working at the Wilmington warning desk. But definitely you can see that just that very well-defined clear hook. It's almost textbook, Nick, if you will. If you look at the actual reflectivity of it and you zoom in, it's very clearly defined between Blue Ash, Deer Park, and I believe it's Madeira. I'm not sure how to say that one.
What we're watching right now, what Owen's talking about is, again, right over the town of Madeira, down towards Marymount, Terrace Park, Anchor, Mulberry, Day Heights, Springville, Parentown. Those are the immediate communities that are in the path of this. Again, we need you in a safe place right now if you're in Hamilton or Claremont counties, and not just the northern portion of Claremont County, but soon to be the southern portion. There's a tornado warning here for Independence and Alexandria, Kentucky. That's going to cross into southern Claremont County very soon. I imagine we're going to see new severe thunderstorm warnings. They will likely be tagged tornado possible just because we already have 4 active tornado warnings along the squall line that extends from Cincinnati into far north central Kentucky. We are watching this. It is very dangerous. You cannot take this lightly when we're having squall line of this magnitude. But again, so going back to where Owen was just referring to near Madeira, inflow notch coming right now right along Interstate 275. It just crossed 275 at US 22. And we're continuing to watch that very closely. Also down towards US 50. And that's kind of where the worst of this is now. But Miamiville is coming right now up to the Hamilton-Claremont County line. Terrace Park, Milford, Camp Dennison, Miamiville, Village of Indian Hill, Loveland. Your time is up. It is coming up to right now Springville, Mulberry, Day Heights, down to Parentown between 3 and 6 minutes before it is on your doorstep. That's about how much time you have left to prepare Newtown. Your time is up as well. Willowville, about 6 to maybe 7 minutes for you at the most. And that may be being a little bit on the conservative side. But again, please be in your safe place. That means, again, get to lowest level. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Very dangerous thunderstorms coming through the Cincinnati metro. I know there's a lot of people, and this is kind of a bad time. It's nighttime. You're likely getting ready to go to bed. But get everybody down to that safe place. If you're in a mobile home, I meant to mention this earlier, but if you're in a mobile home, get out of there. You've got to get to your safe place. If your mobile home community park has a safe place, get there right now. And I need you to get there as quick as you can. If you don't have that safe place in your mobile home park, and if you have enough time to get to a sturdy structure, please do so. And if you can't get there, as a last resort, if you're stuck in a mobile home, you have nowhere else to go, center part of that mobile home. Again, I know that a lot of these places, they may not have those shelters, and you may not have the time to get everything gathered up and out. Sometimes these tornado warnings, they pop up very quickly, and we'll have to continue to watch this very closely. But nevertheless, tornado warning continues. Northeastern Hamilton, northwestern Claremont County until 11 p.m. Another 20 minutes or so on this one, but again, we're giving you plenty of lead time. Those of you now down towards Newtonsville, Batavia, Bethel, Felicity, Georgetown, this is your call to action now. The squall line's still a little ways away from you, but you have time now. Get into that safe place. And Owen Zach just sent a message kind of directed towards you in the group chat if you want to take a look at that real quick. But again, right now, that's kind of what we're watching at this particular moment in time. Very dangerous line of thunderstorms coming through the Cincinnati metro, down towards Crittenden, Williamstown, Dry Ridge, Independence, Kentucky, all that sliding to the east and southeast. But again, right now, of immediate danger is going to be Hamilton and Claremont counties in Ohio. Also, maybe eventually Brown County if this line were to continue. That's what we're watching right now. Real quick, not to draw too much attention away from the tornado warnings, but as Owen said, we were hoping that maybe this would kind of turn a little more to the southeast. That's kind of what it's doing. The northernmost severe thunderstorm warnings for places like Dayton and Xenia and Jamestown, that line of storms is really not progressing very well up there, so that's a good sign. Being kind of shunted a little further to the south. So Dayton and Greene County, you still have severe thunderstorm warnings. Wilmington, still very much a valid warning for you. We're watching things very closely there to see how that line of storms wants to behave. Hillsborough, though, right now, large hail coming into Hillsborough, particularly the northwestern side of the city. We still have a severe thunderstorm in northeastern Brown County, most of Highland County, western Pike, northern Adams County. That's going to go until 11:15. $half size hail, not even a wind threat with that. And we're going to get Brant Warren added in here now as well as we are talking. So bear with us here for just a second while we do that. But again, still active situation continuing here. And we'll get Branton here in just a second. We get active situation continuing right now for portions of southwestern Ohio. Very dangerous situation. Be in your safe place. Don't take this lightly. We're going to try to mainly focus in on the tornado warnings, and that's where things are going to be right now. And Branton, I just want to do a quick mic check. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, yep, and I can hear you good as well. So we got Brant Warren in here now. This will also kind of allow Owen and I to work on some other things, and even Brant at times will be able to rotate things a little bit better. But Brant, right now, it looks like the worst part of that tornado warning for northwestern Clermont County coming right through Mulberry and Day Heights, kind of crossing that I-275 interchange right there.
Yeah, and it's the good news is it's just past Cincinnati right now. So the major metropolitan area is not under a formal warning, but the bulk of the front line of that storm is currently pushing off to the east now. I do want to say it is so lovely to be with you gentlemen for a third night in a couple weeks. But back to the weather here. Yeah, currently dealing with 2 tornado warnings, as you were saying, Nick, but it seems the bulk of the activity is currently getting ready to push into Clermont County out of Hamilton County.
Speaking of Clermont County, there's a new severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Clermont County, winds up to 70 miles an hour. That has been issued for Brown, Clermont, and Highland counties. They've also tagged that as tornado possible in that particular severe thunderstorm warning. So for Brown, Clermont, and Highland counties, the new severe thunderstorm warning goes for you until 11:30. National Weather Service has tagged that with a tornado possible tag, which is usually the first step before a tornado warning, but they're not seeing it quite just yet, but they're continuing to watch it very closely. So if you're in that new warning, again, that goes until 11:30, and they have tagged that with a tornado possible tag. We're continuing to see along this other line, the tornado warning has been officially canceled for Hamilton County, so they put the Cincinnati Metro out of that. I think Brant mentioned that just a minute ago, but you can still clearly see that hook on radar, that inflow notch on radar that is pushing towards Owensville and Newtonsville. We'll have to wait and see here. We got that warning that's been issued. We'll have to wait and see. They're continuing to watch that, but we do at least have that new warning issued for right now that's been tagged tornado possible, Nick.
Yeah, and with that real quick, I put an updated track here for you with about 25 different cities listed. This is up to a 2-hour track and where things stand. And I do want to mention Ken McNatt has already shared this on our pages, but a new severe thunderstorm watch for the Mid-Ohio Valley is coming soon. So I know, Owen, you said that there may be a new watch coming. I just want to let you know that they are going to issue a new watch very soon for Southeast Ohio and West Virginia. So again, another long night here. We were here last night with you, and we're going to be here again as needed through the nighttime tonight. But here's a quick track for you. So Mount Repose at 1046, Dry Ridge 1048, that's still in Kentucky, but Wilmington 1102, Georgetown 1117, Maysville 1135, Chillicothe right around midnight, Waverly about the same time for you, Wheelersburg 1223, Jackson 1225, and Wellston at 1230. That's starting to get into the Mid-Ohio Valley. So for those of you watching there, I know we really haven't talked much about you yet. You're in this stream now because we want to get you ahead of the game. Stay ahead of the game, and this way we don't have to start any new streams or anything like that. You're already with us here, and we're going to keep a very close eye on the situation for you. But that's the latest track for you, so be prepared around midnight here.
Got a new tornado warning.
Okay. Yeah, what you got there, Brant?
For Clermont and Brown County until 11:15.
Yep.
Owen, do you want to add to that?
No, just pretty much, yeah. They wouldn't be surprised. New tornado warning again for northeastern Clermont County and northwestern Brown County. That goes until 11:15, as Brant said. The severe thunderstorm is located near near Milford, moving east at 50 miles an hour. Radar indicated rotation, quarter size hail also with this storm. So near the town of Milford, moving east at 50 miles an hour there for Clermont and Brown counties. Does not surprise me. We just talked about that moments ago. Were they going to elect to issue a new tornado warning? And yes, they have. So if you're anywhere in that area of like Owensville, your time is up. Newtonsville, your time is up. Fayetteville, your time is up now as well. And Williamsburg, make sure you get to the lowest level of your house and cover your neck and head. Try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Nick?
Yeah, I'm going to add up our tornado safety precautions again. Those of you in Brown County, Clermont County, and not just the northern portions, but I would even be prepared for new warnings to come out for the southern portions of those counties. Here's a real quick recap of your tornado safety, what you need to do right now. Get to that basement or somewhere below ground if you can. If you don't have that, centermost room, as many walls between you and the outside, bathroom, closet, some kind of interior room. Get to there as quickly as you can. Take something with you to your shelter to protect yourself from flying debris. We've repeated that a couple times tonight, but helmet, sofa cushion, mattress, just anything that you can cover yourself with. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you cover your head. That's the most important part. There's a lot of studies being done with research in terms of what kinds of different protections that you can use to take to your shelters with you, but definitely bicycle helmets. If you have that, take that with you to your shelters. Make sure you're taking your children. Make sure they have the same protection, and your pets. Obviously, it's a little difficult to get a bicycle helmet on a pet, but nevertheless, make sure you have something to protect your pets from flying debris. Those sometimes obviously much smaller creatures than humans. They're just as vulnerable to being killed in tornadoes as you, so make sure you're protecting them as well. Again, and if you're in a mobile home park or in a mobile home, get out of there. Get to that safe place. If you can find a more sturdy structure, get there. If you're driving right now, again, hopefully nobody is, but if you are driving, you do need to keep a very close eye on this. Get out of your cars, get into a safe place if you can. So it's going to be Fayetteville. You have time down along US 50 and US 68 there, down towards Mount Orab and Williamsburg. You have a little time. Get out of that car if you're driving. Nearest gas station, hopefully they can let you inside to take some shelter. Otherwise, just get into a more sturdy structure, and we're going to continue to watch that very closely. And as Brant just messaged me, get that car in your garage. There's a lot of large hail moving through. Obviously, if you're in a tornado warning, that should be your last concern. Get to that safe place first. But we're watching still a lot of very dangerous thunderstorms across southwestern Ohio tonight, and really of special attention now, guys. I'm watching
tornado warning.
Yeah.
Clermont County again.
Claremont County again.
So
Okay.
Claremont County is now under 2 tornado warnings. So if we want to specify what areas aren't under a warning, I guess we could go from there.
Okay, yeah, and we have some new tornado warnings coming out. Not surprising for Claremont
Tornado
County.
watch also issued.
Oh, a new tornado watch as well.
For downstream, so we'll
for
get
downstream.
that
Okay,
momentarily.
yep. We'll talk that in just a little bit. Okay. All right, so we have a new tornado warning here for Claremont County. That's likely going to include the city of Bethel. You'll see the new polygon pop up in just a second here, hopefully. And we'll get to that one in just a second. But there's the updated track on the northernmost tornado warning: Owensville, Newtonsville, Fayetteville, Mount Orab, Sardinia, and Morristown over the next little bit. And then looking downstream here, yes, this does include the city of Bethel. And if we track this one, it'll be coming into Bethel at about 11:11, Amelia 11:02, Georgetown 11:24, Ripley at 11:30. We're going to continue to watch that very closely here. Numerous tornado warnings continue, and again, we have a new tornado watch that has been issued for southeastern Ohio. We're going to watch that one very closely over the next little bit as well. Real quick, you heard them say that we're going to get a new watch coming out. I can try to get you a quick list of counties on that here in just a couple of minutes, but there is a new tornado watch for the Charleston forecast office that will go until 4 a.m. We'll get you the most updated list on that here in just a little bit. But obviously, right now, most important, tornado warnings continue. We do have some new severe thunderstorm warnings that have been issued for all of Fayette County, eastern Clinton County, northern Highland County. Extremely dangerous storms. Even if you're not getting, you see all these reds and pinks, if you're not getting that, even just to the north of this, and there's your new tornado watch. The county just populated there. We'll talk about that in just a second. But this does include Washington Courthouse and Xenia and Wilmington for severe thunderstorm warnings. Even a little bit to the north of this line, there is still likely that potential that we're going to see some damaging winds. And they did tag the Fayette County warning with 60-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. Down into Highland County, Pike County, northern Adams County, severe thunderstorm warning here for that's going to be $half hail, until 11:15. Moving off to the northeast at a much slower rate at about 30 miles per hour. So be prepared over into Pickaway County, Ross County, Pike County continuing. We're going to continue to watch that closely. Real quick, I'm going to show you the new tornado watch. It includes Athens, Parkersburg, over towards Gallup Police, Jackson, Ironton, over to Ripley and Spencer and Glenville. That goes until 4 a.m. for just kind of the southern half of the Charleston Forecast Office, at least in our neck of the woods here. That's where things are standing right now. So again, we still have active tornado warnings: northeastern Clermont County, northwestern Brown County, and then southern Clermont County. And guys, I think the stronger of those is the northern one, particularly just to the northwest and now coming through Newtonsville as of the latest scan. I'll switch this over so you guys can see this on air here too, but some pretty strong returns. And I'm really watching now north of Newtonsville, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely, and anywhere in this line, but the most indicative portion of that, is just south of Newtonsville. Couldn't have said that any better myself. Between the town of Newtonsville and Owensville. So if you're anywhere in those areas, Fayetteville, your time's up. Williamsburg, but if you're anywhere in that polygon, time's up. Make sure that you are seeking shelter. In the southern part of Clermont County, I should say, when we're looking at that storm as well, that is going to be knocking on your doorstep there in the New Richmond area. It is right over top of you, and it's just crossing the border here in the New Richmond area into Ohio. So if you're in the town of Bethel, in our coverage area, Lindale, any one of those two counties, or two areas, I should say, in the southern portions of Clermont County, you need to also be seeking shelter as well in the town of Felicity, and just anywhere in that southern portion, as the main part of that is just crossing into Ohio right now near New Richmond, between the town of New Richmond and California inside of Kentucky. But again, the one that has me majorly concerned right now, Nick, it continues to gain intensity, especially off the terminal Doppler, is this northern polygon. That has continued to exhibit very strong winds coming out of the terminal Doppler in Cincinnati. We now have a TVS signature of 8, so that is a very strong return, Nick.
And I'm working on getting GR3 pulled up so I can show you the terminal Doppler, so bear with me for just a minute. We'll get that pulled up there. Seeing a lot of reports that people are very scared. We understand that, and we're going to work on, we're going to get you guys through this. Just listen to us, listen to what we're telling you to do, and everything's going to be okay. We promise you everything will turn out just fine. So I do want to turn on the terminal Doppler here for you, and I'll get this pulled up. Owen, did you mention the funnel cloud report out of Covington County yet?
No, I didn't. I was keeping the focus on there,
Okay.
and I just kind of want to point out one thing, though. I know a lot of people are very anxious, and that hopefully that watching us is not causing your anxiety to creep. No reason to be anxious per se, just be prepared. I always say that. Don't be anxious, be prepared. So if you are seeing anything like that, just make sure you're prepared. That's the most important part, and you will get through this just fine. Keep it tuned to us and others, and we'll get you through this as it continues to move here through Clermont County. But the strongest part of that is just south of Newtonsville, getting ready to come on Fayetteville. Excuse me. If you're in the town of Fayetteville, you need to be in your shelters right now. Your time is definitely up.
I've got the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati pulled up. So here's where Owen is talking about. You see the TVS signature of 8 here near Newtonsville. You can see this very bright yellow and red on the screen. These are winds well over 50 and even in some cases 60 miles per hour. And folks, you may not find a very definitive signature along the line here tonight. Squall lines, sometimes the radar will see a tornado, or sometimes it'll happen between radar scans even. So kind of keep an eye out for that. Even though the terminal Dopplers, they update more frequently, sometimes it can be missed right in between different radar scans. So that's what we're watching. I want to take you back now to the other velocity view out of Wilmington, and I want to switch things over to the reflectivity side for you. The how hard it's raining mode. Still a little bit of a bowing structure coming through Newtonsville and past Owensville towards Fayetteville. Tornado warning still very much valid and continues for Clermont and portions of Brown County there. And then into southern Clermont County, there was a funnel cloud report near Covington. That part of the storm is heading through Batavia and Bethel right now. So that was a funnel cloud report. That is from amateur radio, so that is a very valid report. So again, that potential for tornadoes does continue. I'm also watching a signature down just south of the river near Butler. Has my attention there as well, and that's kind of where things stand at this present time. And Brant, so you're working on a new map there. I appreciate that, and Owen just shared one there too that everybody can kind of post around. But Owen, we talked about, we have a kind of a stationary boundary out ahead of this line, and that's causing some what we call big-time hailers to fall right now from places like Hillsborough down to Portsmouth. There's no warning formally for Scioto County, but that cell beginning to draw my attention for some increasing large hail.
Yeah, absolutely. And Brant, that's the best I got right now. The new one hasn't generated yet, taking a little time.
Okay.
So that's the best one that's generated at this point. They're a little behind because of the warnings. But looking at that, I'm looking at two different things, especially on the terminal Doppler, Nick. I know out ahead of this we got these major hailstorms, if you will, but there's two things I want to keep in mind. It kind of goes back and forth and it's pulsating, but there's now, in my opinion, just outside the town of Bethel, looking at the southern tornado warning, it's very clear. I mean, you can see that one very clear as day, almost on the terminal Doppler out of Cincinnati, and even on normalized rotation, you can also see that as well. But yeah, this one's very clear. So if you're in the town of Bethel, your time is up. Make sure you are in your tornado safe shelter. Make sure you again are getting to the lowest level of your house, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So yeah, again, that one's really intensified over the last scan that we're looking at there near the town of Bethel, and it continues to grow a little bit bigger. So I'm becoming concerned with that one, along with the one in the northern portion of Clermont County and Brown County. That one again continues very clearly on radar as well. So we'll have to wait and see. They'll be updating that warning here momentarily, and we will, we'll continue on with this. But that one in Bethel, or pretty much Clermont County, pretty much just say the whole county is under a tornado warning at this point. So if you're anywhere in those areas, make sure that you are, again, seeking shelter, because it's clear as day on the radar, which usually indicates probably, I would say, you wouldn't be surprised, to be very honest with you, near Bethel, wouldn't be surprised to see if there wouldn't be a tornado on the ground in that one. I can come out and say that one because it's very clear. The hook is very clear on reflectivity. Wouldn't be surprised to see if there's a tornado warning, a tornado on the ground in that particular one. Not 100% sure, but wouldn't be surprised on that one, Nick.
And real quick, I'm going to switch over to another source here. I do want to show you what Owen is talking about. There are two distinct areas, and this allows me to break out the telestration tool, and I can kind of illustrate this a little bit for you. So area number one, and again, both of these have very concerning signatures here near the town of Bethel. There's your inflow notch right there, and there's your hook beginning to wrap around and wrap itself in. So that's where that rotation signature is. Also near
Tornado warning.
We got a new tornado warning. Okay, go ahead.
Sir. All right, yay. All right, well, not yay, but Brown, Clermont, Clinton, and Highland counties until 11:30. So at 10:57, a tornado or severe thunderstorm, capable of producing a tornado. Straight line wind damage is located near Blanchester, moving east at 50 miles an hour. So we got again here for Clermont County, northeastern Clermont County. That's your third tornado warning of the night. Fourth tornado warning of the night. Northwestern Brown County, southeastern Clinton County, and southwestern Highland County. This new tornado warning goes until 11:30. Radar indicated rotation.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to draw each of these little rotation signatures out and just understand that there's not one that's going to be more dominant than another, because each of these are going to have a potential for a tornado. So I'll get the tool out again, but we're going to start off to the north, and we're going to draw out each of these. And this is why, and it's so hard. Being a radar operator tonight is yeah, go ahead.
I do want to point out one thing, and National Observers point this out as well, and I just saw it. If you flip over to correlation coefficient, there's debris ball signatures. So wouldn't be surprised if there's something on the ground near Fayetteville and just north of that. That's why they issued it. Yeah, there's two there, so wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so real quick, so we have a tornado debris signature right here, and I may actually switch over and look at that on another source, but that's going to be there just to the east of Newtonsville, crossing into northern portions of Brown County right now. That is a tornado debris signature. That is going to be coming into the community of Fayetteville right now, and there's the other one. In fact, the latest scan there just showed both of them, so let me refresh this. Fayetteville, this is, I don't normally do something like this, but Fayetteville, this is kind of your own little miniature call to action. If you're not in a safe place now, you've got to be there. This is not a very good situation. When we see debris balls like this, it means that we have something significant. Whether this can be debris, whether it be things like trees and shingles and bricks and boards and wood and other things like that. Extremely dangerous situation. If you know anybody right now in Highland County, southern Clinton County, northern portions of Brown County, please share this video with them right now. This is an extremely dangerous situation. We have two tornadoes on the ground right now in northern portions of northern portions of Brown County, excuse me. I'm going to switch you over to this, and we're going to take a look at this. We'll go right down to street level with you. I'm going to kind of give you an idea of where this is happening at right now. So there's Fayetteville, and we'll switch you over to the correlation coefficient. There's a much closer look. So both of these right now are very much close to portions of US 50, crossing at portions of US 68. US 68 is a very heavily traveled road coming out of places like Wilmington down to Fayetteville. I hope nobody's driving right now. It's very late at night. This is not a very good situation to be. But there are 2 clear tornadoes right now on the ground. Guys, looks like the southern one is the most intense on this one right now. And now they're saying that there are 3 tornadoes potentially. Yep, there it is right there. There's the third one.
So we got 3.
Yep, so there's the third one now. It's going to be on the northern end of this far northern end of portions of Brown County. And this is highly unprecedented. I would almost kind of call this a miniature tornado emergency for northern Brown County. We don't see 3 on the ground like that very often. That scares me a lot.
No, but basically, Fayetteville, you're covered under 2 tornado warnings at this particular moment in time. But you don't see something like this. Just to kind of give everybody a little bit of perspective of what we're talking about. When we say a tornado debris signature, we could say TDS, or debris ball. What we're saying there on radar, basically what you're seeing is those signatures come back, those blues, maybe some greens. You notice that basically that's showing us there's something there that shouldn't be there. Normally there's something like Nick said, some sort of debris. It could be dirt, it could be shingles, it could be cows, it could be radars, it could be whatever. But those things that we're talking about in there, it doesn't always necessarily mean that it's debris, but more than likely in this scenario, it's debris. It's something. It's probably more like dirt, and the dirt gets sucked up very quickly into this, and it shows us that, hey, that's not quite right. That doesn't match any type of precipitation. So that's what we're looking at when we're saying, this debris ball. We can see these clear signatures on radar. Also, if we're looking at normalized rotation, we are seeing these areas very clearly on that product as well. Wouldn't be surprised. We're seeing these inflow notches, these little phalanges we talked about earlier. We're seeing like a few different phalanges on the reflectivity side, but also on the normalized rotation side, it is wrapped up. More than likely, if you are in this situation, this tornado is rain wrapped. I don't expect it not to be, so make sure that you are in your tornado safe shelter at this time, because this is a very dangerous situation. I don't think they'll issue a PDS tornado warning, which is a particularly dangerous situation, but unless there's something on the ground, but we're still waiting to see that. We're really waiting to see that, Nick.
And I just want to say that with these with these tornadoes, storms that we've been seeing the past couple of days, we've been very unfortunate.
Tornado warning. Sorry.
Because
don't want to cut you off. Adams, Brown, Claremont. New tornado warning has been issued for you until 11:45. Here we go. Can somebody update the text on the video?
I did first. I had it set for a tornado warning for Cincinnati, but yeah, you can go ahead and update that, and I can kind of take the lead here for a couple minutes while you do that. So as it stands right now, guys, we have numerous tornado warnings, countless tornado warnings. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4 just in our coverage area right now. This is an extremely dangerous situation. We have at least 1 or 2 tornadoes on the ground in far northern Brown County. At one point, it looked like we had 3 on the ground. That is not something we see very often. Again, those of you now far southern Clinton County, western Highland County, northern Brown County, I'd almost call that like a miniature. Again, we're not going to see a PDS tornado warning because we don't see anything coming into any major populated areas, but that area is very wooded and there's a little bit of hilliness down there, but it just came through Fayetteville. I'm hoping that the town did not take a direct hit, but parts of the town sure did look like that it took some kind of hit. So let's give you a quick recap of tornado warnings, and then we'll go down and circle each of these circulations with you. Again, right now we have a brand new tornado warning for portions of Adams and Brown County here till 11:45. Radar indicated. We're not seeing, again, folks, I really can't stress this enough, that there is not going to be, we may not see what we just saw in Brown County where we're able to see each of these on the ground. Wow, but if we take a look at this one into northern Kentucky, Brant there, just south of the river, there are some significant hook echoes just to the south of Georgetown and just to the south of the Ohio River, that likely to clip portions of Adams and Brown counties here. That does not look very good.
Yeah, and I was trying to say that the one issue that we're experiencing right now is the past storms over the past couple of weeks have happened at night, especially today and yesterday. They've happened at night. The tornadic activity has happened along a line of storms, which kind of shrouds it in rain, and you can't see it. So if you try to look outside your window and see a tornado coming, even in daylight, you're not going to be able to see it because it's rain wrapped. So this makes it a very, very dangerous situation where at night It's 11 p.m. at night, so people who probably have work in the morning are sleeping right now, and you need to call them and wake them up right now because this is a very dangerous situation. Um, and Nick, I am watching that area just south of the river. It looks like it's getting ready to clip, as you said, southern Brown County. So we're also watching that. We're also watching the one in northern Brown County getting ready to move into Highland County. So we have a lot to deal with right now.
Nick, if you want to do me a favor, you can point out these circulations very clearly if you got your illustration tool on reflectivity. That's one of the things we haven't seen in a long time. You can see these inflow notches all along the tornado warning. So there is, and it's a situation that in this particular case, yeah, if you're out ahead of this in the tornado warnings, make sure you're seeking shelter. Again, I'll go over that when Nick's getting his illustration tool out. But we, again, get to the lowest level of your house and put as many walls between you and outside as possible. Most likely an interior room without windows. If it be a basement, get under something sturdy like a bench or anything that you have. Get under something sturdy if you're in this tornado warning. And the biggest thing is cover your neck and head. Very much going back to school. When we practice the tornado warning drills in school, protect your neck and head. All right, that's the most vulnerable part of your body. Make sure that you protect your neck and head. Nick's drawing out all of these particular sorry, we
just got all kinds of new updates there. But I've got five different circulations, actually now 6, I should say, that are circled out for you. One close to Blanchester. By the way, we still looks like may have one tornado on the ground. Looking at correlation coefficients somewhere in the vicinity of St. Martin or Dodsonsville, excuse me, but there are 6 different circulations right now along this line at a minimum, and of course with each new scan sometimes we can get more. Georgetown, safe place now. Dover, safe place now. Your time is almost up. There are so many circulations coming into there. Any one of those or all of those could be producing tornadoes right now. Bethel, the worst of it is just past you, but you're still getting a lot of very heavy rain, so wait a few more minutes before you come out of shelter. Zach answering a lot of questions there. I give kudos to Zach. We're seeing all kinds of warnings, and he's making sure those are posted on Ohio as well, so I appreciate that. Watching all these very, very closely, multiple tornado warnings. Also, thanks, Owen, for editing the video. But each of these little arrows, that's where we have little phalanges or little pop-up vortices, little rotations. They can be significant. Any one of those can produce a tornado, and of course, they can be very dangerous. Yeah, Owen, go ahead.
No, I just and kudos to Zach. He's in the comments section. He's one of our forecasters, operating under his own name. But we are watching some other ones here, and I can tell you, Zach, the one that I'm concerned, or Zach, Nick, the one I'm concerned with, that was there for a brief second was south of Mount Orab. I think you say Mount Orab. If you back up a scan, the latest scan doesn't show it, but if you back up one scan, it looked like there was a debris signature there, and there was not inside of the tornado warning. That was outside the tornado warning box. So pretty much if you're anywhere in the Brown or Clermont County area, I would say you're under a tornado warning at this point, because you've had so many of them here over the last couple minutes. So we're seeing, as Nick pointed out, these circulations all along this line, and it continues to charge east. They let the one tornado warning expire near Maureystown, the one between the two tornado warnings, I should say. Wouldn't be surprised to see that for Mount Orab. That one actually just expired. We'll have to wait and see if they reissue that, because there is a little bit of an inflow notch creating just outside of the town of Mount Orab and Maureystown. So I'm curious to see what happens here in the next couple of minutes here. They're continuing to watch the ones near Clinton and West Highland as well. So we're watching all along this line, Nick, and that's something we don't see very often, but this is something we kind of expected to see last night along that line, but it didn't happen. On a lot of this too, large hail. We're seeing reports of 1 3/4 inch hail. Wouldn't be surprised, especially in some of these towns in Brown County. So 1 3/4 inch hail, just to put it in perspective, that's golf ball size hail. So that's very large hail that's also associated with these storms as well, Nick.
And with that, I've got the kind of zoomed in here to Georgetown. Boy, I'll tell you, that there's still a lot of circulations. I'm not going to draw each and one of them again, but there's one here north of Georgetown. There's one coming into Georgetown. There's one near Augusta going into Kentucky. Look at these. You can see all these little appendages that are sticking out. That is definitely highly concerning for Georgetown. As, again, right now I'm not seeing anything that would suggest that there's one on the ground on any one of those in particular, but there could be at any given time, so just be prepared for that. We're down now to 3 active tornado warnings, and I would not be surprised if we get some more. And in fact, really, Georgetown, I know you're also under severe thunderstorm warning. You might as well say that that's null and void at this point, because all of the southern portion of Brown County is underneath a tornado warning right now. We're going to continue to watch this very closely. Again, the Weather Service still monitoring multiple circulations across Clinton and western Highland County. So let's take you up to that one. We haven't talked about that area. And that's kind of embedded in that somewhat of that comma head feature around Lynchburg. Those can also sometimes spin off little tornadoes too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to address some of the comments, we don't know if there's anything that's been on the ground. Nothing, again, will be confirmed. Just watching it, so they canceled that. But there again, we don't know if anything's reached the ground. It's very possible, very plausible, but again, that also determines on a storm survey that has to happen out of the National Weather Service office, so we don't know. The intensity of the tornado, we also don't know, so we couldn't even answer that if we wanted to, because again, it depends on the damage and how much damage it actually did or didn't do, depending on the Fujita scale or the enhanced Fujita scale. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there tomorrow. So there could be some strong ones. Definitely, it's dangerous. A tornado is a tornado regardless. It doesn't have to be a strong one to kill you. So make sure that you are seeking shelter at this time.
Brant, what are you seeing? I know you're not too far from some of these storms down in Circleville, but it looks like the worst of it may stay to your south. But what are you seeing out there? If there's anything that you've noticed that you want to kind of speak to for a couple minutes, I'm checking a couple things if you want to speak to what you're seeing.
No, I think you've hit it on the head on the nail, or the nail on the head here, I should say. It's a long day for all of us. So I'm looking out my window to the south right now, and I see a constant lightning storm. So there's a lot of energy with these storms. Just like last night, we had a lot of energy with these storms. We had a lot of lightning, and that's what we're seeing tonight. Basically, if you're in Brown or Highland County, you need to be seeking shelter, because this line, anywhere along this line, we could see a quick spin up, and I think we've proven that, Nick, over the past 10 or 15 minutes with showing the multiple vortices and where they're popping up and how fast they shift and where they are now. So it's a very dangerous situation, especially along a line at night where they can spin up without a lot of warning. A lot of times that some of these tornadoes could spin up real quick. The radar only scans on a busy night like this every few minutes, so we could have a tornado hit the ground, pick up something, and we could completely miss it because it's in between radar scans. So it's very difficult for us to pinpoint where a tornado exactly is on the ground because our lack of technology, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and Owen, I got your message. I'm drawing that right now. So let's get a quick track up here. I know we haven't talked about this in several minutes, and I know we got a lot of fans watching from Chillicothe, a lot of people watching, a lot of people very concerned. So let's go ahead and draw this out. I'm noticing kind of almost now. Yeah, go ahead.
Ken McNatt, if you're in the... Is Ken McNatt watching? Please ban Katie Lynn. Ban her from the chat, please.
Yep. Okay. So, guys,
we're not going to come about you're going to die. We're not going to do that on this broadcast.
Yeah, we definitely don't need to be seeing those kind of things again. That's just kind of where things are. So, guys, please try to keep things. We want you guys to be safe, but please keep things appropriate if possible. New warnings for Ross and Pike County, severe thunderstorm, all of Ross County, by the way. New track here, 11:21 into Washington Courthouse in the next 7 minutes. Chillicothe 11:54, Circleville 11:55, Waverly 11:56. Portsmouth 12:06, Wheelersburg 12:15, Jackson 12:21, Logan 12:33, Ironton 12:34, Ashland 12:40, into Nelsonville 12:45, Athens just before 1 o'clock. Same for Gallipolis and Point Pleasant. I added all these additional cities in here because that's kind of where things are. And Erica, your question about trailers with no basements, we've talked about this a lot this evening. If you are in a mobile home park, if you have a designated safe place, get there. And some mobile home parks, they actually have a designated safe place to be. But that's kind of where things are right now. If you don't have that safe place, though, you're gonna have to hunker down in the middle part of that mobile home. I know that they're not very good for tornadoes, but it's at least some kind of shelter. It's better than your car. Your car can be thrown around like a toy. And I know if the tornadoes were strong enough, mobile homes can too. But if you have no basement and you have no place to go, and you don't need, especially if you don't have the time, please find somewhere inside to stay inside somewhere. Don't go outside and take shelter. That's definitely not what we want you to do. That's not very good. That's what we're watching right now. So again, mobile home park, some of those have tornado safe shelters, some of them don't. And and real quick, I'm noticing here, and Brand, I don't know if you're seeing this too, right on southern Clinton County, there near the community of Lynchburg, that comet head is completely wrapped around, and there could be a developing tornado perhaps near the city of Lynchburg. I've not looked at velocities in a couple of minutes, but that has my attention in particular right now.
Yeah, it's picking up right now. It's actually just basically right over the town of Lynchburg right now. So if you're in Lynchburg in southern Clinton County, you need to be seeking shelter right now. Your time is up as this thing continues east. And they did just update the warning. So it was canceled for Brown County. So they took Brown County out of it. It just involves Clinton and Highland County now in this specific warning.
And real quick, let's switch over to this. There's Lynchburg. Some reds and greens are very close to one another, right over the city. Boy, folks, your time is up. I think we're going to get a new warning downstream of this here very soon from maybe a place like Leesburg, maybe. Might be a little too far north, we'll see, but especially down towards Hillsborough. Just be ready right now. Be ready to take your safe place right there around Lynchburg. I'm concerned there. And then also there's one spot just south of the river that may clip portions that's going to be Brown County here near Minerva and Ripley. There is a little bit of a signature showing up there. We go over to Enrock. You'll see that near Minerva. But wow, look at this. Oh, and the Enrock, this entire line is rotating. This actually here shows a really great illustration. And around Lynchburg, it's also picking up some pretty good rotation. But this entire line on the normalized rotation product, there's basically a straight line of blue and some green. That's indicative of rotation up and down that entire line.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And give me just a couple of minutes here. I'm working on something, but yeah, I'm just looking at some other things in the backside. So give me just a couple of minutes.
That's
but
fine.
wouldn't be surprised here along this line because just very indicative of this these type of phalanges, as I call them. Again, we're kind of in that prime time for now.
Seeing the same thing that I was. That's impressive. We don't see that very often.
No, and anywhere along this line, as I said, you can get a quick spin up for people who just might be joining us. Where the radar, if you look at the reds and the greens, that's where the winds are going in two different directions. So anywhere along this line, you can get a quick spin up. And just like we saw in northern Brown County with the potential debris balls that we were seeing with the blues showing up, sometimes we can miss that because in between radar scans, we can have a tornado hit the ground, pop up, and we can't see it because it's in between radar scans. It only scans every few minutes because of the extreme load that the radars are under in a time like this, Nick. But I will say I am very concerned north of Lynchburg now, heading into right along the line, or the county line of Highland and Clinton County. It picked up in the last scan, and I'm checking if we have indicating any debris. So we're not seeing any debris yet, but this is very, very close to the radar, so that rotation is very, very low on the base of the storm.
Is definitely. There's a look at Lynchburg there. If we kind of zoom this out, look at how wrapped up that is, just all the way back around. It is almost if I put this into motion, you're going to see that very clearly. See, this is kind of a 1 hour loop, and watch here towards the end. Completely spinning again. We saw this signature around Connorsville a little earlier. There were no tornado warnings with that, but this is concerning when we see this very clear sign that the storm is rotating, and that's kind of where things stand. Coming through Hillsborough now, there's kind of a line of damaging winds coming through. There is no formal tornado warning, but they are watching that very closely. They are keeping the warning for Lynchburg, and I think that's a very, very good call. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a new one here very soon. Likely going to be somewhere between, let's say, Leesburg and Hillsborough along US 68. Yeah, go ahead, Brant.
I think we're seeing one out ahead of east of Lynchburg too. It's just northwest of Hillsborough right now. I think we're seeing one out ahead of this. It's not in the warning. It's actually right on the line of the warning. So I think we're seeing another one happen outside of this. That's just, yeah.
So that one is tagged tornado possible, by the way. So wouldn't be surprised there, like Brant's saying. Yeah, Brant, you're onto something with that. So right near Hillsborough. Yeah, that one's very clear to me. So I would probably expect a new tornado warning for that one any moment because that one definitely has some good circulation to it. So if you're in that area, if you're in Highland County, wouldn't be surprised to see a new warning for you here any minute. Just kind of refresh a little bit. Make sure that you're keeping it civil inside of the comments there. I will not tolerate anybody saying things like you're going to die. That is not something that I tolerate in the chat room. So you'll be banned permanently from the network of pages. Just make sure you're doing that. Keep it civil. All right, continuing on with that, we have some storm reports here coming in all across across the area. Again, several trees being snapped off, maybe in the Hamilton County area as well. So we're looking at that, and we're continuing on this Grant, or excuse me, sorry, that was in Kentucky, but we're looking at the that storm cell that Brant's talking about. Yeah, that it's kind of weird to see that, but it kind of has that nice curly shape on the backside. So if you're looking at Hillsborough, you can kind of see two comma head features, so going opposite directions. But so that's very interesting, which the whole storm, like Nick pointed out a few minutes ago, is just kind of wrapped up.
As I want to point out, we'll look at the end rot here, the normalized rotation. This was at 11:18, 3 minutes ago, north of Lynchburg. That is some extremely intense rotation there just to the north of Lynchburg. Again, not saying there's a tornado on the ground, but that's concerning. Newest scan, it's still there. And then also, as Brant pointed out, northwest of Hillsborough, we go over to velocity. The reds and greens are very much touching there near Hillsborough. And if you're not seeing a tornado near Lynchburg, I guarantee you you're seeing some intense winds, velocities, and well over in excess of 60 miles per hour, if not a little bit stronger. And we do have our first warning of the day over in the Middle Ohio Valley, so we'll get to that one in just a second. I know Ken is very much valid in the comments and keeping an eye on things. There's a new tornado warning now for Highland County. That's not surprising, Brant. You picked up very well on that. And we'll see what the polygon looks like here in just a second. But
tornado warning.
Yep, that was just issued there. Yeah, go ahead.
Highland County.
I'm also watching Northern Adams County, just so we can put that out there.
So there's a new tornado warning for northeastern Highland County until 11:45. Again, this is radar indicated at this particular moment in time. Again, tornado and quarter-size hail very possible. The storms have slowed down quite a bit. They're only moving at 35 miles an hour, Nick, and it's an extensive straight-line wind damage. It's very possible with these as well. Don't want to forget about that threat as well. That can almost be, I don't want to say worse than a tornado, but we could see some very good wind damage from some of these straight line winds all across this line. But with that one in particular, with that new tornado warning that Brant was calling out, yeah, definitely not surprised to see that. Good call from Brant on that warning because, yeah, that's just very intense, and those winds are continuing to pick up all across the line. So be prepared if you're out ahead of this. If you're downstream of this just a little bit, so we're starting to get into some of those areas that we were talking about earlier in Ross County, not quite to your doorstep. If it holds together, it could be coming into the Ross County area. Hopefully it dips south to the Washington Courthouse area. I know we got a lot of people watching from there. Might clip some of the outskirts. Hopefully it stays to the south. The bulk of that hopefully will stay again to the south, but definitely you could see some stronger winds as well. But we're continuing to watch that all along this line. Right now we have 3 tornado warnings, very indicative that we have 2 areas really of circulation for the one tornado warning that's in effect for, what do we got there? That's, I don't even know which county I'm on. I've lost central Clinton County. If you're in that one, that's very indicative. We're still getting a good return on radar with that one, and then the one that was just issued there for Highland County.
And guys, with that too, I do want to point out real quick, those of you over in the Middle Ohio Valley, we got Vinton County, Jackson County, Gallia County, a severe thunderstorm warning for hail. We'll get to that one as soon as we get these tornado warnings to let up, or perhaps whenever the storms get to you. But I'll try to keep that one in view for those of you that are watching over on Ken's page on the Middle Ohio Valley Weather Update. Again, we have all of our pages that are involved here on one stream, giving you guys plenty of advance notice. I also appreciate all the nice words that some of you are saying in the comment section about this stream and how you guys are appreciating what we're doing. We're very thankful for that. We're glad to be here keeping you safe right now. That's kind of where we are right now. So I don't want to take any attention away from Leesburg and Hillsborough and Highland County, but we've not talked about portions of Adams and Browns County in a couple minutes, guys. Right near Maysville, on the river between Maysville and Ripley along US 68, US 52. Very good hook echo here. In fact, this one's completely wrapped up there. Yeah, go ahead, Brant.
No, I was just going to say, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning. Not to take away from what you were saying, but for Adams, Pike, and Scioto County until 12:45.
Okay. Owen, do you want to say something?
No, that doesn't surprise me. I talked about those strong winds ahead of that storm. Doesn't surprise me whatsoever. But on reflectivity, that particular storm is starting to take that Boeing structure. So we're starting to see some of that Boeing echo type structure. So that's going to be very, very strong winds out ahead of that. So not surprised for Ross County. They're getting that one out early. So they're continuing that, and they just issued one again for Southern Pike County and Scioto County, Scioto County and Adams County as well. So they just issued 2 new ones there. Wouldn't be surprised to see some very strong winds and some straight line damaging winds as well. So if you're anywhere along this line, you need to take that seriously and make sure you're getting indoors. You may not have a tornado warning per se for your town inside of the severe thunderstorm warnings out ahead of this, but very, very strong winds, and even up to almost hurricane force winds. We're getting into that area of maybe some 80-mile-an-hour winds, and still seeing some very strong hail in certain spots on this, especially in that storm near Waverly City. You got some hail signatures inside of that storm as well. Don't want to forget about you guys. Again, we're trying to keep our focus on the tornado warnings as much as possible. But again, maybe, Nick, we can just zoom out just a touch and do a quick track on it, just to kind of give some people some idea along the line out ahead of this thing.
Yeah, real quick, I wanted to, before I do that, I want to point out here, extreme southeastern portions of Brown County, southwestern Adams County near Maysville, very, very good sign of a tornado potentially in progress of being developed. The NROD is looking very good in this area. About to cross the river. It's crossing US 58, or sorry, US 52, I think, actually. Yes, and then not too far from US 68, also Kentucky State Route 8, Ohio State Route 41. Be in your safe place now. Bentonville, Manchester, Maysville. Be in a safe place right now. There's Ripley right there on the river. I had a question there. Your tornado threat is now over. You guys are kind of in the all clear. This is now east of you, so you can come out of your safe place there. Brant wanted to point out to northern Adams County. Yeah, I see that there. I see exactly what you're talking about. There's all kinds of little vortices from Cherry Fork all the way up to the Highland County line. There is no formal tornado warning for parts of this line right now. That could change over the next couple of minutes. We'll watch that very, very closely. So as we're continuing to watch this, I do want to give you that quick track that Owen mentioned. We'll kind of zoom things out and give you that updated track. I know the radar looks extremely messy, but we have so many warnings out there, so it makes it kind of hard to keep a close eye on. But as it stands right now, let's get you that updated track, updated time of arrival for you. We'll track this all the way from the Fayette-Madison County line all the way down into Kentucky, because I'm sure we have some friends and family that are even downstream of this into northern Kentucky, but kind of tracking things off here to the east. We'll track it a little faster than what it's going, just to give everybody extra heads up. Circleville 1146, same for Chillicothe. Waverly 1150. Again, keep in mind, these are estimated. This does not mean at that exact moment the worst of the weather is going to be on top of you, because there are other thunderstorms popping up out ahead of the line, especially right now, Waverly City, Bainbridge, and Chillicothe. You may get a quick initial burst of some really heavy rain and some hail, and then the main line, that comet head feature, is going to come right towards you, so watch out for that. Moorhead 1207, Wheelersburg 1212, Logan 1222, Ironton 1231, Nelsonville 1235, Athens 1244, Huntington 1250, Hurricane West Virginia 114, Parkersburg 121. That's kind of about a 2-hour track for you. It'll be to the I-77 corridor by 1 to 1:30. So just be prepared for that. We're going to be here through the whole thing. We're not going anywhere. Owen, if you want, and I know we talked about this last night a little bit, kind of just between you and I, but I am getting some lightning here, what's coming through, so if you want to just kind of be prepared to take things over from your side in case something were to happen here. I don't foresee it happening, but just that way we already have that kind of ready to go. So that's kind of what we're watching right now. But again, there's the updated track. That's 2 hours out in time. And right now, I think it would be a great idea also to kind of give a recap of the warnings that we have in place, and then we'll kind of get back and do a quick update on all the tornado warnings. So working from east to west, we'll kind of go a little bit backwards because we have some folks in the Middle Ohio Valley watching. Middle Ohio Valley folks, I appreciate your patience, but we got you guys in here early. I know Kim McNatt has probably been answering a lot of questions about why are we not talking about you, and I know that, but I wanted to be ahead of the game, and I think that was a good call between Owen and I to make sure that we had everybody involved prior to 10 o'clock, and that was a good call there. So, but right now we have Jackson, Vinton, and Gallia counties, a severe thunderstorm warning, hail and winds to 70 miles per hour. So they've actually upped the wind threat on that one, moving off to the northeast at 40 to 45. Hail to a quarter-sized winds to 70. They'll be coming towards Jackson, Oak Hill, south of MacArthur, north of Gallipolis, kind of right in between there. That's where I would be watching for the worst of the thunderstorms there. Severe thunderstorm warning for Ross and Northern Pike till 12:15. Quarter-sized hail. winds to 60 miles per hour, and that's going to be because there's a thunderstorm out ahead of this main line. If the main line picks up enough speed, this storm could be absorbed into that main line. So, but those of you between Chillicothe and Piketon, you're going to be in some very heavy rain, some hail, some gusty winds, lots of lightning and thunder, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a tornado warning here once that comet head gets a little bit closer. We'll see if it holds together, but you guys are going to be in the worst of this for several minutes. At least 15 to 30 minutes. You're going to get an onslaught of very heavy rain, some hail, and gusty winds for several minutes between Chillicothe and Piketon. So just be prepared for that. Some of you now in Bainbridge and Waverly City, you guys are already getting hit really hard, and it's going to be that way for a little while. So just be in that safe place and be prepared to take action in case a tornado warning were to be issued. Severe thunderstorm warnings for Fayette, Clinton, and Northern Highland until 11:45. Tornado warning, Northern Highland, that goes until 11:45 as well. Radar indicated. Severe thunderstorm warning for Southeastern Highland, eastern portions of Brown, and basically all of Adams County until midnight, and a new severe thunderstorm warning for portions of southern Pike, all of Scioto, eastern Adams until 12:45. Nickel-sized hail winds to 70 miles per hour winds, just to kind of give you an indication. 74, that is where we get to hurricane strength. So that's concerning that we're seeing widespread warnings with that wording of 70 miles per hour. Very, very good indication that we do have some extreme damage that could be taking place with winds of that magnitude. Let's jump you back into now to Northern Highland County. And guys, that comet head feature there north of Hillsborough has been very consistent since it came through Lynchburg. I still think that's probably the best chance of seeing where we could have a tornado, but boy, the velocity signature out of Wilmington, extremely noisy, guys. That tells me there's an immense amount of wind right now coming through portions of Northern Highland County.
And go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say quickly there, Brant. Yeah, if we're looking at that, Nick pointed out, yeah, very, very noisy. But if it's anywhere right now in that particular cell, I'm going to say, yeah, I mean, it could be along a range there, Nick. There's a few inflow notches that are maybe circulating there in that entire tornado warning. If you turn your attention to the southern part of this, I wouldn't be surprised to see if we don't see a particular, maybe another tornado warning down in the Adams County area. We're continuing to watch that cell just crossed into Ohio, across the Ohio River near Maysville. Could potentially hit Manchester. That one also is coming back very strong, Nick, even stronger than the northern one there. But that also will continue to come back very strong, so we're keeping an eye on that one as well. So if you're in Adams County, as this tracks to kind of the north, kind of east-northeast, if you will, make sure you have a heads up. Wouldn't be surprised to see a new tornado warning issued there in just a few minutes as well, Nick. Or Brant, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that a lot of the times when we have these storms and we show you velocity, it gets noisy, and a lot of the time we're really far away from the radar, so you're looking higher up into the storm than what you would be right at the radar. And what's amazing about this comet head, Nick and Owen, is that it is very close to the radar for us to see those winds happening on the ground. So the lower we can see in a storm, the more indication of the likelihood of what's actually occurring on the ground is what we're seeing. And we're looking right now at just about 1,000 feet in the air, so that's relatively low in radar terms of how high we're looking into the storm. So there's a good chance that when you see those 80 mile per hour, or 70 to 80 mile per hour winds in there, it's likely that you're getting that on the ground due to where the storm is versus the radar.
With that right now, I'm just checking over a couple of things as well. But again, guys, here's sort of an overall radar loop for you. These storms are moving. That's the good sign. They are not moving incredibly fast, but they are moving quick enough to where they'll come in. You're gonna get your storm, and then it'll be gone hopefully within a half hour. So there's plenty of heavy rain behind this, though. So some minor flooding is going to be a pretty good bet. And one thing that I kind of noticed is kind of a neat feature behind the main line. What I'm noticing on reflectivity, especially, you can watch just from the reflectivity all of the wind that's kind of being pushed in from the back side of this. That's really aiding to keep these storms well maintained. And I don't see this slowing down across southern Ohio and then eventually to West Virginia anytime and particularly soon.
No, and again, the storms themselves has slowed down a little bit as well. And out ahead of this, along the stationary front that we're seeing even in the Mid-Ohio Valley, we're looking at those storms over in Jackson County, producing some pretty good hail. So if you're watching over there in the Jackson County area, along with Gallia County, I believe I say that, Lawrence County, in the northern portion of Lawrence County, wouldn't be surprised to see some very large hail issued for that one as well. So there's continuing to be some storms pop ahead of this thing, Nick, that we'll have to keep an eye on. But yeah, if you're in the Mid-Ohio Valley, the storm is finally starting to reach your the coverage area for us over there on those pages. So continue to join us here as we start to push off to the east. But the tornado warnings continue down there for Adams County, in southern Ohio and Brown County. So make sure that you are continuing to seek shelter there as well. And then, actually they just dropped that one, so ignore that one. But they do have that tornado possible tag still. So be careful if you're still in Adams County. You do have a severe thunderstorm warning, but it is tagged tornado possible. This Hillsborough storm, wouldn't be surprised to see nothing really on the debris signatures at this point, but it still has that very nice classic inlet or classic 6-hook that we're looking at right now just outside of Hillsborough, moving over to New Petersburg, I should say. I'm not sure what I said, but hey, we're here. And Fruitdale in that area just outside the Polygon, that's going to be kind of tracking your way in just a few minutes. So heads up to you. We're starting to see the tornado warnings drop off, but please keep your eye to the sky, and not eye to the sky, I should say, but keep a heads up because these could turn into a tornado warning very quickly. Again, we're watching several areas of rotation right now, but some of the strongest ones still exhibit there in the Hillsborough area and even down into Adams and Brown County from my standpoint, Nick.
Guys, what I want to do right now is do just a quick overall reset of where we stand right now and what's going on. So if you're just now tuning in, or even if you've been with us, just to let you know who's here with us right now. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn here in Columbus. Brant Warren is live in Circleville, keeping an eye on things with us as well. Owen is up in Sandusky County, keeping an eye on things. Zach Batten from Bowling Green is in the comments section. Ken McNatt from Belpre is in the comments section as well, watching things for us. We are watching an intense line of severe thunderstorms, widespread wind damage, isolated tornadoes, extremely heavy rainfall, potential for some hail. This has been an ongoing line. We've been here now for basically 2.5 hours between both of our different videos that we've had here this evening, watching things for you. This is an extremely dangerous situation. There are tornado watches lined up along southern Ohio and into West Virginia. The first one expires at 2 a.m. for portions basically along and west of US 23 and south of 70. The second one, which is now east of 23 and along and south of US 50, that tornado watch goes until 4 a.m. We are not going anywhere. We're going to stay here with you guys. We do not have any kind of live video from on the ground tonight. We don't have anybody out that we trust or kind of keeping on things right now. But we do have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings. And there's still one tornado warning for northeastern Highland County. That is because we have kind of a comma head feature that is kind of embedded within this line. And anytime we have those, we get some very strong rotations at times. We can get a quick tornado with that. I do want to switch you over to Highland County real quick now that this particular scan from Wilmington is not as noisy. But we are seeing some immense winds. Oh, and we're looking very close to the radar site, only about 920 feet or so off the ground. And I am seeing consistent flags of 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. So as you alluded to a little while ago, even if we're not getting a tornado, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds will blow out windows, can destroy mobile homes, that can cause even some cars to be flipped over. That's hurricane force winds. Granted, that's category 1 hurricane force winds. That's probably the greatest area of concern right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We're starting to see this kind of fan out a little bit. We do have that comment feature like you mentioned, but hopefully it's starting to now fan out just a little bit in this linear fashion, but still we got to keep our eye on these phalanges that continue to pop up, and I'm still watching some things there down in the Adams County area. I'm watching that one very closely as they continue to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for Jackson and Vinton County. That one is now out for you until 12:30. That is tagged also with tornado possible inside of that severe thunderstorm warning. So in Jackson and Vinton County, we are watching that one. I was getting ready to get to that one in just a second, as I was talking about right now. That one also doesn't surprise me. That one had some very deep purples and exhibits some very strong hail. So that one out ahead of this line a little bit in Jackson and Vinton. The new warning that they just put out there for you has a tornado possible tag, and it's mainly due to some, if we're looking at that, we're starting to take a little bit of a hook type shape as it's starting to turn into a little bit of an inflow there. So that doesn't surprise me. They're going to go ahead and err on the side of caution pretty much all across the line, but we continue to see that as well. But yeah, those strong winds, Nick, is just devastating to some things, and it can do potentially more damage than a tornado in some spots because it's spread out. So linear damage usually, or straight line linear damage, blows things usually in one direction, not to be confused with the band, but it blows things in that one direction, if you will, and we have to continue to watch that as it tramples into the Mid-Ohio Valley. And some other things from the earlier things, we don't know if tornadoes were on the ground. Pretty good indication that they were, especially across Clermont County. We just don't know at this point. We're getting reports of some video and some pictures that were taken, but we just don't know at this point. And the National Weather Service will come out tomorrow and do damage surveys all across the area to determine if it touched down and what strength it was. At this point, we don't know. We probably can say there was in Clermont County, but again, it's not confirmed as a tornado until the National Weather Service surveys it. But more than likely, we see on radar. It would not surprise us, Nick. We're getting reports
with that, guys, sorry, I was looking at something here real quick. Just kind of wanted to point out a couple of other things that we're watching right now. Those of you in the Mid-Ohio Valley, I do want to kind of give you a quick update. We're starting to get some warnings there. You may be hearing some thunder and very heavy rain in the background here in Columbus. Things are starting to pick up just a little bit here. Nothing overly impressive in Columbus and points north, but some strong, brief, gusty winds, some lightning, and some heavy rain are possible. But kind of what we're watching here into the Mid-Ohio Valley, Jackson, Vinton, Gallia, and Lawrence County, severe thunderstorm warning. I did fail to mention the northernmost portion of Lawrence County. Lawrence County, that's your second round of severe weather for you today. You had one a little earlier today, and you're going to be getting yet another round here within the next hour or so. Very intense weather coming through. Watching things from the National Weather Service too, but Vinton, Jackson, Gallia, and Lawrence counties in the Mid-Ohio Valley, these storms are out ahead of the main line that have that potential of producing some strong hail, some really gusty winds. Tornado threat seems pretty low with these right now, but we'll continue to watch that very closely. And we're also watching along US 23 from Chillicothe down to Portsmouth, and I just heard the tone. Did we get a new warning, guys?
We did. It's kind of overlapping. Actually, I think two actually just popped up here. We did have one for Jackson and Vinton, and then we did have another one just pop up for Meigs, Gallia, Jackson, and Vinton until 12:30. That's a severe thunderstorm warning.
So guess who took over there? New office. So we're looking at that. Actually, we're still in that office, but we're looking at that one. That's the one getting out ahead of that one. Wouldn't be surprised, especially with hail in that particular cell. So as Brant pointed out, I wouldn't be surprised. That one has shown some deep signs of hail. The tornado warning for Highland County officially has expired. They have let that one expire, so therefore we are not under any type of tornado warning right now.
Yeah, so that's some good news. Brant, I do want, you have been really watching this Comet Head feature very closely, and I'll tell you right now, we're really seeing, well, look at the overall velocity signature altogether, and there are winds of 60 plus, and even some spots still seeing around Hillsboro. Again, we're looking about 1,000 feet off the ground, and winds are in excess of 80 miles per hour coming into Ross and Pike counties now. That Comet Head feature, while it has kind of detached a little bit, that can still produce a lot of significant wind, and it could easily ramp back up again. But Brant, that's kind of where the strongest winds are. You've been watching that very closely, and are you noticing anything with that? It looks like that should stay south of you, it even looks like.
Yeah, it looks like it's safe to say it's going to be a Ross County situation. It's not going to be a Pickaway County, so I'm not too overly worried for my safety right now. But I am worried about the people in southern Ross County because, as you said, Nick, this is very, very close to the ground, and as I said, I'm sure some people are just coming in. The lower we can see in a storm, the better chance of what is appearing on radar is actually occurring on the ground, Nick. And I do say that at times I have seen the radar indicate upwards of 80 mile per hour winds as it was back in parts of western Highland County and southern Clinton County, and there was a tornado warning for that. But even if you didn't get a tornado out of this, which there is a possibility you did, but there is very, very strong straight line winds with this. So I'm kind of looking over the power outages right now. Nothing's coming in that's eye-popping right now. Of course, this only updates every 15 minutes, so we still may be getting some of that information in. But Nick, it's a very, very dangerous situation still in eastern Highland County, getting ready to head into northern Pike and southern Ross County.
I do want to point attention down here towards this is the southern portion of Adams County, about to cross into Scioto County. We have another one of these little vortices, or these little phalanges, if you will, as Owen likes to call them. I like that term very, very much. But here around Charters near Kentucky State Route 10, over here towards US 52, that would be a
Tornado warning.
And is that for what I just think it is? It sure is. There we go.
Adams and Scioto. There you go, kids.
Yep, there
so
we go.
12:15. So what we got here, I'll read the text real quick, Nick. Tornado warning has been issued for southeastern Adams County and southwestern Scioto County until 12:15. Radar indicated rotation and it's capable of producing a tornado extensive straight line wind damage is what they're saying for the National Weather Service, moving east at 55 miles an hour. Tornado and quarter-size hail with this particular storm. And again, they denote that this has been capable of producing tornadoes in the past with this particular cell. So if you're in the Adams County area, as I kept talking about earlier, Nick, you were just pointing out, wouldn't be surprised there. So they went ahead and issued that tornado warning for basically the extreme southern portions of Adams County and Scioto County there as well, right along the Ohio River.
Yeah, and Owen, real quick, here's a quick track on that. I do want to point out that right now, the city of Portsmouth, you may not directly be completely in the polygon, but it sure looks like you are. They kind of have put at least most of the city of Portsmouth in the polygon. So if you're in Portsmouth, go ahead and go to that safe place. But this does not include Lucasville. This does not include South Webster or Rardon or even up towards places such as Rosemount even. This does not include Franklin Furnace yet, and we kind of have a weird thing happen here. So Scioto County, you kind of also see this, I don't know what county that is there in Kentucky, but that kind of comes up towards Portsmouth. So we go from Wilmington to, I want to say it's actually Jackson, Kentucky, briefly, and then it's back over to Wilmington once again. So this tornado warning does not include Franklin Furnace yet, but I would still be keeping a close eye on this. The reason that this tornado warning was issued, and I was pointing this out, and I'll switch it back over to velocity here for just a second, is down here near Vanceburg. We're seeing some appendages or some kind of little kinks stick out in the line. I'll switch you over to reflectivity here too, so you can see these little protrusions. I'll even call them that, little phalanges that kind of they want to push themselves out ahead of the line a little bit. You get a quick little inflow notch, and a quick tornado is possible, and it should not be long lasting. We go over to correlation coefficient. We're not seeing any signs of debris, so at least that's one positive sign, but this is capable of producing a tornado along with extensive straight line wind damage, and I see we have about 2,500 people watching. Very remarkable. You guys are all fantastic in getting the word spread out, and I appreciate that very much. But again, right now, southwestern Scioto County, southeastern Adams County being a safe place. Let's go and pop up our tornado safe place shelters once again, just so everybody is kind of familiar. Again, get to the basement, somewhere below ground if possible if you're in a mobile home. I did see a comment earlier. Somebody was actually fortunate to get to their local fire department, so that was good because their mobile home park was right next to that. So get to that sturdy place, that safe, that safe place again below ground if possible. Put as many walls between you and the outside. Take something with you to protect your head, your children, your pets, everything. Whether it be a helmet, sofa cushion, whatever the case may be, even a pillow in some cases is okay. Just really make sure you are in a safe place. Sturdy structure, many walls, center part of your house. Basement. If you have a basement, you have a sturdy piece of furniture to get under, like a workbench, get under that too. That's also a very safe place to be. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that that's our tornado safe places right now. So again, it's far southwestern Scioto County, but it does include the city of Portsmouth along US 52. This also includes the communities of Stout and Vanceburg. Very dangerous thunderstorm continuing to move on across the area here this evening. And then points to the north, we're seeing some signs of at least small to maybe medium-sized hail up towards Otway, coming through Waverly and Piketon. It looks like now, Chillicothe, at least the threat for hail should stay to your south now. It sure looks like, but this is all right now across all of southern Ohio. Highland, Adams, Brown, Scioto, Pike, Ross, Vinton, Jackson, Gallia, Lawrence, Meigs. All of you guys are under severe thunderstorm warning, so you've got a plethora of those. Winds to perhaps hurricane force are possible. That would be winds upwards of 70, maybe even 75 miles per hour. I saw a comment there, a quick burst of hail in Wellston. That's going to be over there in southeastern Jackson County. So that's going to be with the cells coming up towards northern Gallia County, north of Gallipolis, and south of MacArthur there and south of Jackson. But guys, I've been impressed at just how well this line has been sustained. Even though we've been seeing this, the calm ahead has kind of come detached a little bit, but still a damage and wind threat for Ross County. Still looking at very strong winds just above the surface, so if that storm can tap into that, it will easily be transported down to the ground via momentum transfer. That's how we get those damaging winds and trees down and whatnot. Seeing reports of half-dollar and ping-pong ball-size hail, quarter-size hail from some earlier storms over in Jackson and into Lawrence and Gallia counties. But guys, I'm very impressed with how well this line's being sustained right now.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brent.
No, I'm just gonna say, I do want to say that I agree with you 100%, Nick. This line has been consistent, and it's not like last night where we were watching the line of storms come through and they weakened at a certain point. These have, for the most part, for most of the area down there, maintained its intensity as it's traveled a little over 150 miles since it entered western or our western coverage area. I say upwards of 200 miles too. So it's pretty impressive to see these maintained strength. And I will say that I'm working on power outages here. We have a lot of them to deal with. But I'll get that in just a few minutes. But it is very, very impressive to see these storms continue to maintain intensity. And guys, I don't see, at least in the next 30 minutes or so, these storms weakening at all as they continue to head east.
No, I agree, Nick. And again, along this entire line, the severe thunderstorm threat, along with we have the tornado threat, of course, but this straight line winds very excessive. We're seeing some of these storms clock in that they're saying 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We don't want, pretty much all along this line, we're seeing, again, we talk about those flanges, if you will. So we're seeing along this line possible indications of some rotation, but we'll have to continue to watch that very carefully. Another couple areas, and again, we're kind of in a radar dead zone, especially in the storm that's out in Jackson and Gallia County. We're kind of in between two radar sites. I'm flipping back and forth between the Charleston radar and the ILN radar. Charleston radar actually picks up some pretty decent broad rotation, so wouldn't be surprised to see something there, especially pushing in on the backside from Rio Grande. I have to keep an eye on that one very closely if something is going on with that one, but I'm watching that one in particular. That's the one I got popped open on my screen right now. I'm watching that from two different radars, and it's kind of hard to get a good angle on that. That one is tagged tornado possible, but we're going to continue to watch that one. It may be some very broad disorganized rotation at this point, but going to continue to watch that one there in that area. So kind of heads up if you're in those areas. Again, when they're tagging these tornado possible, you want to make sure that you are having that heads up and making sure you're ready to seek shelter if they were to issue a tornado warning. But along that line in Adams County and Scioto County, it is, it's still very plausible near the town of Wakefield in Waverly City. Wouldn't be surprised to see that just outside of the warning box. I'm seeing some rotation there, I guess I should say. The one inside of the actual tornado warning box seems like it's hopefully is going to straighten up, and hopefully that warning will drop on time. But we're continuing to watch that one here very closely along that line. But anywhere out ahead of this, again, straight line damaging winds can do some major damage there. So you want to also take shelter as well. We do have new severe thunderstorm warnings been issued for, Gallia, Jackson, Lawrence until 12:45. That one is just issued, again, with a tornado possible tag. So you're going to see a new warning pop up on the screen for that one as well. And we have, I don't know. Okay, they canceled the tornado warning for Adams County. Okay,
that's some good news
Scioto
there.
County looks like it continues, though. They didn't say anything about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of where things stand. Oh, and I tried to update the video text, so if you want to look at that and see if it worked. I know we're having some issues with that on Facebook, but I did try it, so that's where things look there. So again, they just dropped Adams County out of the tornado warning there, and this still does continue. Well, actually, it looks like they kept a very small sliver of Adams County down around Vanceburg in the warning, at least based on that particular image. We'll see if
it's officially dropped for Adams. It's just the
virtually, I agree with that completely. So, still, the city of Portsmouth to be in your safe place right now. If there is a tornado, we are likely going to be seeing that coming probably over towards Vanceburg and Garrison, just south of the river into Kentucky. But again, with this being so close, I would not take a chance to get to your safe place. Along the velocity signature, you can kind of see where the line kind of kinks in and out a little bit. Any one of these little spots could produce a quick isolated tornado. Definitely be in your safe place across really Portsmouth, but really all of Scioto County. I would be in your safe place there. And there's your new severe thunderstorm warning. They continue again with 70-mile-per-hour winds and penny-sized hail. And they have this moving at 65. I haven't looked at the latest trends, but this may be at least trying to pick up a little bit of speed, and that wouldn't surprise me. That could also enhance the wind damage threat just a little bit too.
Absolutely, Nick. And based on the latest scans and the latest things, I'm looking at some tracks that I've put on some storms. I would say that it was slowed down to like 35 miles an hour earlier, especially over Cincinnati. But as it pushes off into the south and east southeast, I guess it has picked up a little steam. I mean, I think 55 is pushing it a little bit. I would say we're between the 40 and 50 range still, but it is starting to pick up steam just a little bit. And that cell over near Gallia in the county of Gallia and Jackson near Rio Grande. That one, continues to exhibit some strength. It's kind of like sitting there. So it's a very slow mover on that one. But that one is exhibiting some strong signs of some very strong hail, deep hail core against that one. So, heads up to you guys out there for that one, for especially hail, because that's coming back at about 1 inch, which is quarter size hail. But continuing along this line, Nick, we got to start looking at it as more of the linear threat, again, with the possibility of maybe a quick isolated tornado as it pushes off across the Mid-Ohio Valley here as we continue our coverage. But if you're out ahead of this line, make sure that you are just prepared to seek shelter as well. But it becomes more of that linear threat, and it looks like the hail, for the most part, along the line, not saying we couldn't see some larger hail, but it looks like those have reduced quite a bit. So hopefully it's turning into more of a wind threat for the evening, except for that one little cell just kind of out ahead of everything that we talked about there in Jackson and Gallia counties. But other than that, that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on out ahead of this line. And I'm also looking at some things just to the north of that in Ross County. I'm looking at some things up there as well. Again, wouldn't be surprised if up there in Ross and Vinton counties you're seeing some very strong wind gusts, especially from some of the outflow on the backside of the storm. Wouldn't be surprised to see that, as it's kind of aiding and fueling this storm as well, that we're getting there and we're pushing forward here in this particular area. So heads up to you guys out ahead of this storm. So if you're in Athens or Parkersburg or anywhere along that area out in our Mid-Ohio Valley, you should be tuned in with us here. It's heading your way. Hopefully more of a stronger wind threat tonight. But again, we still have that possibility for tornadoes. As Nick, maybe now's a good time to bring up the tornado watch box, kind of show everybody where that's at to kind of help us recap what's going on here.
Absolutely. I would absolutely be honored to do that. So let's give you a quick look at this. I'm going to turn off the radar and turn off the warnings just briefly. I'll leave the tornado warning up, but I'm going to turn off the severe thunderstorm warning. So the counties highlighted in red, this would be from Fayette to Clinton to portions of Brown County and points east. That's kind of riding that US 35, US 50 corridor, if you will, more like US 50, but Chillicothe, Wilmington, Parkersburg, and points south. The tornado watch for Chillicothe, Portsmouth, Wilmington goes until 2 a.m. For Jackson, Huntington, Gallipolis, Parkersburg, Spencer, Ripley, Glenville until 4 a.m. in the morning. Also, we think those storms will likely be out of our coverage area prior to 4 a.m. based on what we're seeing, but they do issue those watches for several hours in advance, just again kind of out as a curiosity and just kind of keeping that safety, kind of keeping that precaution out there too. So that's kind of where things stand at the moment. Again, southern Ohio, southeast Ohio, portions of West Virginia until 2 or 4 in the morning. Tornado warning officially completely dropped out now for Adams County, just portions of south central, southwestern Scioto County. That tornado warning will go until 12:15 in the morning. Radar indicated also capable of producing some extensive straight line wind damage and also some quarter size hail. The only other tornado warning is down in Kentucky, and that one is moving away from us, so that's some good news. I'll go ahead and bring back the severe thunderstorm warnings. We've got just an unbroken line of those, and really that goes well down into central Kentucky even. So very impressive line of thunderstorms, widespread wind damage, some hail, although I think the hail threat is definitely kind of lessened just a little bit over the last several scans. That's kind of where things stand at the moment. That's where we stand. We'll continue to watch this line of thunderstorms very closely. Really now from Chillicothe and points south, that's kind of my concern. Potential for seeing some straight line wind damage. Isolated tornado threat does continue. That's why we have a tornado watch in place. Best hail threat right now is going to be across portions of Gallia County, as Owen has mentioned. And I'm going to switch things over now to the Charleston radar as we're kind of moving into that portion of the coverage area. There's kind of a different perspective of it. Warnings for Vinton, Jackson, Gallia, Lawrence, and Meigs. And the Charleston office and the Ross, Pike, Scioto, Adams, portions of Evansville, Highland, and Brown counties from Wilmington. But we'll see those continue to gradually drop off. And Brant, the good news is these are going to stay away from you, but those of us to our south still a little ways to go to deal with these.
Yeah, and I would tend to agree. Sorry, I'm just I'm looking at some storm reports on Twitter, what we're seeing on there, working on some power outages here. So a lot of information is coming into us about what occurred with these storms back in eastern Ohio and what you can expect as they continue to cross US 23 right now and continue heading east into the mid-Ohio Valley. With a lot of wind, some hail in spots, and Nick and Owen, we do continue that tornado threat as we do have a tornado watch, as you just said, Nick, in effect until 4 a.m. So it's a very active night for weather, and it doesn't seem like it's dying down anytime soon for the southern portion of the state or of the area.
Yeah, and real quick, I was just looking at our group chat here. Guys, again, another comment about people that we're all going to die from this. No, that is not tolerated. That is not acceptable. And I hope you understand my tone by that. That there is no reason for that kind of language to be implemented into this chat. There is no reason for that. We've not had any fatalities tonight. There's no reason to be saying that kind of terminology. That will not be tolerated, whether it be tonight, tomorrow, next week, next year, next decade, whatever the case may be. That will not be tolerated on this page. You can take that kind of language somewhere else. Here's the latest track of storms for you. 1201 Wheelersburg, 1208 Wellston, 1219 Ironton, 1224 Ashland, Gallipolis 1238, Point Pleasant 1241, Belpre 106, into South Charleston, West Virginia, that is. Not to be confused with Clark County. Zach, I know you're from that area, but 126 into South Charleston, West Virginia, probably, or Kentucky even perhaps, and then into Charleston, West Virginia by 1:30 in the morning. So that's where things stand at the moment. We're going to continue to watch this very closely for you. A threat of hail and some damaging winds primarily. Still seeing consistent 60, 70 mile per hour winds continuing. We still do have one tornado warning for Portsmouth, so we get you a quick localized update on that. I'll switch sources here, and we'll go to velocity. The good news is, again, it has fairly straightened out for the most part, and that's kind of where things stand. There's a latest look at the velocity for you. Extreme southwestern Scioto County. I'm not sure at what county that is in Kentucky. I can pop that real quick and see. That's going to be Greenup County, Kentucky. You're going to be crossing through there, and then it'll cross back into Scioto County. So we'll see what the Weather Service offices in Charleston and Wilmington collaborate to do in terms of a new tornado warning or not. But we will continue to watch this very closely. Coming through St. Paul right now in Kentucky, there's a little bit, and now's the latest scan that just kind of went away, but still, the velocity lines are not completely straight, which means we're still seeing a few spots where there could be a little kink in the line, and those little kinks in the line are very indicative of at least a quick little spot of rotation. You can sometimes get a quick tornado with that. I'm not going to use the word spin up because tornadoes are not necessarily spin up. They can be, but we're trying to avoid that terminology just because they're isolated. They're not widespread tonight. This is clearly an isolated tornado threat right now. We're still seeing seeing some comments about sirens still going off across all of Scioto County. Owen, from an EMA perspective, each county kind of has a different policy when it comes to sirens. I know it's confusing at times, but it appears that the policy for Scioto County would be sirens go off countywide.
Yeah, absolutely. Every county has a different policy. Some continue to turn them on. It just depends on what's going on. They will continue to sound them throughout the duration of the warning. But anytime you hear the siren, it's always a good idea just to seek shelter. So it means there's something going on. Tune into local media is what most of the sirens indicate. So make sure that you are doing that, and make sure that hey, when you hear those sirens, take shelter, especially tonight, and make sure that you are getting to the interior room of your house, especially if you're in that tornado warning, and just stay away from windows. I can tell you the storm there, man, just kind of sitting over Gallia County, deep hail core inside of that one. Wouldn't be surprised to see hail up to 1.5 inches in that particular cell moving towards Vinton, so heads up there as well.
I see you have a power outage update for us out of Clinton County. Looks like some significant outages are taking place.
Yep, so I just want to touch on that real quick. We were saying that's where the winds were, where that comma head feature went through Clinton and Highland County. And I just want to say that in Clinton County right now, out of the 15,800 people that are tracked, over 8,500 people are without power. So that's over 50% of Clinton County is without power right now. And likewise in Highland, we're seeing 5,600 people without power. So right where that comma head feature went through with those very, very strong winds we saw on radar, we're seeing the result of that, and it's a lot of damage.
I'm sure we're going to see some more power outages as these storms continue to move across. But Owen, I do want to kind of focus in on northern Guy County for just a quick second. That is a very impressive looking hail core there on radar. I'll switch sources here to get a different perspective. That reminiscent of some of our hail cores that we saw yesterday, and even early on this morning, roughly about 24 hours ago at this point. But over the last 36 hours, we've been seeing an immense amount of hail. Not really just across southeast Ohio, but really across most of our coverage area. We've just seen an immense amount of hail the last couple of days.
Yeah, and tornado warning is canceled for Scioto now, so they went ahead and let that expire. But yeah, we're looking at that again. These strong winds and these deep hail turning into a linear threat here as we continue to move in here, Nick. And give me just a quick second. I'm working on the courtroom here where I'm starting to ban people. So just give me a second here. And again, we don't tolerate some of the comments, so I'm banning people left and right, and I have no problem doing it.
Yep, we said a little bit ago that kind of language is not tolerated here. We don't want to induce panic. That's not what we're here for. We're here to keep you informed and keep you safe. That's what we're doing. So we are pretty much now moving fully over into the Mid-Ohio Valley. So I know Ken McNatt has been diligently working in the comment section, especially on his page and taking care of some of the warnings over in his area. Also giving a big shout out to Zach working on ONW tonight, kind of on the backside. And a big shout out to Brant working on power outages and Owen working on everything else. And we're all working together as a team. That's why we're here. It's why we have a big team like this so we can handle all these little things that all kind of work together. And that's kind of where we are. So we try to be the best in the business. And obviously we also want you looking at your local media outlets. But we also want you to pay attention to us in case we do have, you guys lose power. You may need another source, and that's why we're here. So right now, kind of where things stand is along in US of 23. We do no longer have any active tornado warnings. Those have all gone. Not saying that we can't get any more, but right now the threat for a tornado appears to really be dropping with every passing minute. This is really becoming a linear threat. Again, still an isolated tornado is possible. That's why we still have a tornado watch in place, and that's why we are still here. We're not going anywhere because we're still seeing widespread consistent winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and with that can produce a lot of damage. So we're not going anywhere. We've got 2,000 to 3,000 of you in here, so that's fantastic. We appreciate that very, very, very much. You guys are fantastic at spreading the word. That's great to see, and that's why we're here right now. So a very destructive line of thunderstorms stretching now really from southwestern portions of Vinton County down through Jackson into portions of Scioto and Pike County. Very strong line, very damaging winds. That's really going to be the main takeaway from this. And Brant, we can really, I think now that Comma Head feature is pretty much for all intents and purposes is kind of weakened. There could be still some stronger winds in that, but I really, really think now Ross County's kind of been kind of spared a little bit. That Comma Head has weakened considerably from where it was about even just 10, 20, 30 minutes ago even.
Yeah, and it was one of the strongest Comma Heads I've ever seen in this state. If that just puts it into perspective, Nick, and I agree with you completely. It's a good thing that it has weakened because it did a lot of damage in Clinton and Highland County. And I just want to update. I did say 53% of people in Clinton County were without power. It just updated to 94% of the tracked customers in Clinton County are without power. So the entire county that's tracked. There may be some companies that aren't on this list, but 94% of the tracked customers are without power in Highland County.
Is that Highland or Clinton County?
I'm sorry, Clinton.
Clinton. Okay.
Just let me say that again. Clinton County. 94% of Clinton County is without power.
Yeah, that is rather significant. I cannot recall a time that we've seen at least something like that. That's very significant. So again, right now over 90% in Clinton County without power. And that's very interesting. So something else I want to point out, and Zach just brought this up. We know, and Owen, we talked about this a little while ago, and I know you're still working on some things, but as this line is coming through, we're seeing a lot of strong winds behind this line as it's coming through. That's very common with the squall line, the squall lines that we have. I'm even getting some wind gusts up here of Columbus in between 20 and even 30 miles per hour at times. So on the back side of this, you're going to get some strong winds, but guys, it's not a second round. Once this main line clears through, your severe threat is over. Chillicothe, your threat is all for all intents and purposes over. I know there's still an active severe thunderstorm warning for you with what's left of that common head feature coming through, but the winds don't look that impressive. For those of you that live in Ross County, give us an update what you're seeing. Again, I'm not overly concerned right now about Ross County. We'll watch this closely though, but really right now it's Vinton, Jackson, and Scioto counties heading over towards Meigs, Gallia, and Lawrence counties over the next little bit. Very intense line of thunderstorms, but we have a lot of strong winds on the backside that's helping to keep these storms sustained. There's a good amount of instability out ahead of these storms, and now they just canceled the warning, the severe thunderstorm warning for western Scioto, all of Pike, and all of Ross. So as I said, for Chillicothe, your threat was for all intents and purposes over, and now the warning has been canceled. Once this main line, which now stretches from MacArthur to Jackson to Portsmouth, once this clears you, your threat for severe weather is over. But to Zach, that was a great call out there. There's some people that comment saying they're still seeing strong winds on the backside. There's definitely not a second round coming. This is a cold front coming through. Tomorrow's going to be much colder. And with that said, we're going to be seeing much cooler temperatures, and thus that severe threat, once this comes through, is over. There's just no instability behind this. And I did want to point out we did get a 71-mile-per-hour wind gust at the Mason Fleming Airport in Mason County, Kentucky, near Maysville. That was back at about 11:35. So we're still, and that's why we still have the warnings worded for up to 70 miles per hour across portions of southeastern Ohio. So that's why those warnings are still in place, and that's where things are. There are no tornado warnings. I see some comments from Greenup County, Kentucky. I know that we kind of have a weird office change because Scioto County kind of curves a little bit, and I know there's kind of some different weird things that go on there, but nevertheless, that's why we still have the coverage going on here. No active tornado warnings either for Greenup County, Kentucky, or Scioto County, Ohio, or anywhere in our coverage area. We're maintaining our coverage right now because of the widespread, consistent, damaging wind concerns that we have. 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible. There's even a couple isolated spots that could see gusts well over 70 miles per hour. Here's the latest kind of zoomed in look for you. So up here towards MacArthur, this here is going to be US 50, and this is pretty much now going to be a call out if you are east of US 23 and south of US 50. That is where the severe threat is now. If you are north of US 50 or west of US 23, no concern for you. Your threat is over, and you can go to bed and know that you're not going to be awakened by anything else in the middle of the night. But that's just kind of where things stand. They do continue. It looks like they're continuing tornado possible on all these warnings here into the Charleston office. That's not surprising. I do want to point out that we do have one area concern near South Webster. I'm seeing some interesting things here on reflectivity and velocity. Seeing a little bit of a kink there, so we'll watch. And again, anytime we see these, we can get a quick tornado warning. There's a much better look at it now, and I'm a little bit more concerned now based on the latest scan they're coming in, and I wonder if we didn't just get something from Wilmington. No, okay, just another wind gust report there, and some $half size hail in downtown Portsmouth. Wow, that's impressive. That's along that squall line there too. So that means our hail threat is maybe not as diminished as we had thought it was. So that's interesting. And that was coming out. Let's see where that report came from. That came from Emergency Management in Minford. Their $half size hail, wind gust to 57 at the weather station there, and a wind gust to 56 in downtown Portsmouth. So still seeing at least consistent damage and wind gusts, or very, very close to it. But right now my concerns are around South Webster, northeastern Scioto County, extreme northern Lawrence County, southern Jackson County, far northwestern portions of Gallia County. Seeing a little bit of an appendage and a kink on this line. That's where we are concerned, probably greatest right now for any kind of tornado potential. That's why we have a tornado watch continuing, and sometimes these things can kind of cycle up and cycle back down just a little bit. But Owen, looking at that $half size hail there out of Portsmouth, I'm not seeing much on radar along this squall line that would suggest that, but I'm not totally surprised because there are still some deep hail cores in some spots along this line.
Yeah, absolutely. The hail cores continue to be strong at some points of this, and as we continue to push off south and east a little bit, we're going to continue to see the straight line wind threat now. It's starting to switch into that, especially as it moves off out of pretty much our coverage area here in just a minute. They do continue those severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of our coverage area, especially Gallia, Jackson, and Lawrence County. Still watching that area closely. There is still some areas of some broad rotation, so they continue the tornado warning possible tag within that particular warning, and it kind of is finally pushing out a little bit. It was kind of stuck over Rio Grande there for just a little bit, and it's producing some pretty good hail. Wouldn't be surprised to see some accumulating hail. I know we don't really talk about that, but accumulating hail, especially right around 1 inch, because we're seeing 1 inch hail markers come back, and some reports of 1 inch hail, 1.25 inch hail, or $half size hail that we have seen out ahead of this. So heads up if you're in Meigs County. If you're anywhere out there, you're probably going to see a warning because of the hail, and then we're going to see another line push through here momentarily. And the good thing is, along all of this, it is starting to, I don't want to say let up completely, but it's not taking, as you pointed out, that bowing structure anymore. It's starting to become more of a straight line wind threat, which is a very good sign for us here, Nick. So, yeah, very good sign. And we were, sorry about that, I stepped away for just a few minutes. I had to play the principal, but it's no problem. I am back here. And yeah, we just appreciate everybody viewing and all of you here. There's a lot of people in the room, and sometimes we get a few characters in the room, and we have to just take care of those. And we have a zero tolerance policy for certain things. But other than that, as far as the straight line wind threat, if you're continuing out ahead of this here, mainly for our coverage area in Lawrence, Gallia, Meigs County, those particular counties are probably going to see the hardest hit, and maybe even portions of Athens County in the southern portion of that. You could also see some strong wind gusts, but as it pushes out of here, it should be fairly clear as we get into the latter part of the overnight hours.
And as a reminder, as Brant added a little bit ago, and I know you stepped away, but we have over 90% of Clinton County without power. So that tells us some pretty significant storms have come through there. That just shows the power that this line has. I'm still concerned about South Webster, maybe a quick tornado there possible, just because of the fact we have a little bit of a kink in the line. The latest scan, not quite as impressive, but I'm still a little concerned there. And watching this very closely. And I saw some concerns that there was a tornado warning for Chillicothe. That was never the
Bye,
case.
Craig. You're gone too.
Yep,
Craig Irwin.
Yep, I see that. Real quick, I saw a comment that there was a warning for Chillicothe for a tornado. There may have been a tornado possible tag on the warning, but there was never a straight tornado warning for Chillicothe. So I'm not sure where you saw that information, but we will always report the latest warnings accurately to you. But we can tell you there was never a straight-up tornado warning for Chillicothe. There was for Highland County and Clinton County, but never for Ross County. So that's where things stand at the moment. Again, right now from MacArthur, Jackson, eastern edge of Scioto County coming into Lawrence County, western Gallia County. That's my concern. I saw a report out of Rio Grande of some ping pong ball-sized hail. If you can get a picture safely, I would love to see that. I'm not seeing, and I know I really have not been doing a great job of checking my particular page for pictures, but that's kind of where things stand. Let's see if we have anything to share at this point. Yeah, actually there is. I would like to share out of Oak Hill. I see there's a good picture there, so I'll work on getting that up here. Give me just a couple of moments to work
Bye,
on
Sherm.
that.
Bye, Craig. Bye, both of you. Somebody beat me to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what we're watching there. Again, guys, please keep it civil. We're doing this as a volunteer service to you guys. We know weather's a very interesting phenomenon, and we care about you, but please keep it nice, guys. There's no reason to act the way that some of you guys are, and we're not going to tolerate that. And quite frankly, nobody should be tolerating the kinds of comments that we're seeing. There's no reason to be political. Weather's not political. Weather is a science and not a political thing there. Brant, do you have anything else you want to pass along on power outages?
Yeah, I can do a rundown real quick if you want me to do that, if you need to. Okay, so right now, watching in Pickaway County, just coming into us, 2,218 people or customers are without power in Pickaway. Again, maintaining that high number in Clinton County right now of 14,276. That is 91% of Clinton County is without power. Heading down to Highland County again. Highland and Clinton, that's where we're watching that comet head feature with those potential 80-mile-per-hour winds going through, according to the radar, going through that area. And the result that we're seeing is, I think, would agree with what the radar was indicating earlier of those very strong winds heading through that part of the state. Highland County, 5,889 people are without power. Hamilton, which houses Cincinnati, 42,981 people without power. That's a little over 10% of that county. Brown, 3,704 people, and Claremont is about 15% of the county is out right now, with about 14,000 customers out. So very widespread damage down here in this part of the state, likely from wind that we saw earlier, and possibly other issues too. But the result that we're seeing is clear on the power outages, that we did have a very strong line of storms go through the southern part of the state.
Yeah, and real quick, I do want to stress that those of you across the Miami Valley, your threat is over. I know for those of you watching on the Miami Valley page, we still have one county under watch. They're in Clinton County, but I can tell you that the watch will be canceled soon. And the threat for severe weather in the Miami Valley has since expired. Again, the main line, that's what triggered those watches, and that has been allowed to expire, so we will see that canceled relatively soon, probably sooner rather than later, but that's kind of where things stand. And as Owen and Kenner continue to communicate with some things going on in the comments section, give you a quick rundown on warnings. And I can tell you that for those of you down along the I-77 corridor from Parkersburg to Ripley, I can tell you that this will be coming in probably within the next hour or so. And we may even be able to wrap up coverage here very soon once they decide to stop tagging the warnings with tornado possible. We'll likely wrap things up and probably kind of move over to more intermittent coverage. But because we still have tornado possible signatures on the warnings, and the fact that we are still seeing some potential signatures here and there every so often on radar, we do kind of have that potential for seeing some of that potential tornadic activity. Not going to be totally surprised to still see a tornado warning or two, but I think the chances are still rather low in nature. We do look at the normalized rotation product, and we see that most of what rotation we have is kind of in northern Lawrence County, coming up through Jackson County based on the normalized rotation product, and that would kind of correlate with what we're seeing on the reflectivity. That's where the strongest rain and even the strongest hail threat is at this particular time across portions of Jackson and Lawrence County. Owen, you have something for us?
No, sorry, I was no. I echo your concerns there, Nick, and I agree with you. As this continues to push off, we'll probably start to see some coverage and do some more intermittent coverages as needed. Because the good thing is most of these are straightening out now. Wouldn't be surprised. We know there's still some of those tornado watches that exist across the area, so we'll have to keep a close eye on for some of these. Maybe picking up on some of these pockets of instability out ahead of this, but. The big thing too is some of these storms just out ahead of the main line, like in Gallia County, they just got pummeled with hail, and that's pushing its way off into Meigs County right now. So if you're in the Rutland area or Dexter in that area, you're going to see some pretty good hail coming through your way in just a few minutes. But then, hey, Gallia County, that main part of that storm isn't to you yet. So if you're in Gallia County in particular, it's moving through Jackson County right now, you're going to see some pretty good winds as we continue to push off in some hail with that storm once again. So heads up to you over in Gallia County, Nick.
Yeah, and right now Brant is working on sending me some pictures that we're going to start to put up on the stream. I know we don't always get a chance to do that because we cover such a large area. Remember, we cover 124 counties across Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia. So we don't always get a chance to do some things that maybe your local media outlets do where they can get a chance to, post some pictures every so often. But we'll be working on that. We'll probably be sorting through pictures tomorrow as well and kind of using tomorrow as a catch-up day for that. We'll make sure that those of you that have sent us pictures, we will get them posted to the appropriate pages, and I'm sure even Ken McNatt could even start doing some of that too, kind of on the backside as he has time. And even Zach, if you're watching, I know you're watching comments too, but if you want to sort through the Ohio News and Weather inbox and gradually start maybe scheduling some posts or maybe posting a couple pictures, you can intermittently in between your posting the warnings. That's perfectly fine. Just when we also kind of communicate with each other through these lives too, so just kind of keep that in mind. But again, for all intents and purposes, once this line passes through, your severe threat is over. Now looking at the reflectivity here in Lawrence County, that appears we could be seeing again a little bit of a tornado threat. You see these little kinks. They're not nearly as significant as they were, say, a half hour to an hour ago, back kind of when we originated this stream. We've been on the air now for about 2 hours. When we first came on, we had all kinds of little kinks and appendages and phalanges and vortices, all kinds of different things along the line. Not as significant now, but that potential is not quite over. And that's why we're still live here with you right now, coming through Bartles, down towards Ironton, and in particular now the newest scan, you can almost see, and here in between Ironton, let's go over to the velocity. We're not seeing much there or on normalized rotation in the spot, but from a reflectivity perspective, it's just because we're not seeing anything on velocity doesn't mean we're not going to see a tornado, because sometimes, radar, the beam might be too high, could be too low, whatever the case may be, we may not always be able to catch those on Velocity or any of the other derived algorithm radar products, but sometimes reflectivity can kind of be a great source for that, and that's kind of what we're watching right now coming into Ironton. A couple little kinks are up there, nothing major, no tornado warning, but they do tag those tornado possible for a reason. Again, the Weather Service is watching those very closely, I assume. I'm watching the National Weather Service in Charleston. They're taking in a lot of reports right now. So it was the Bloomington office getting hit. Now it's the Charleston office going to start getting hit with a lot of reports, and they'll be the ones kind of taking over the warnings here going forward. And then once it's out of the Charleston office, guys, we'll be done. Again, and once they kind of cut back on the tornado possible signatures, or if we start to see just some overall, we're not seeing very many vortices on the reflectivity side along the squall line, we'll probably start to scale back some coverage too and kind of reanalyze and kind of reset where we need to prioritize coverage. But right now, we're still across most of the Bell Park Weather Network with severe weather coverage. I'm Nick Dunn. Brent Warren and Owen Fritz are here in the live with us as well. Zach and Ken are in the comments section. Very much appreciative of everybody. I know I told them that enough, but I also want them to know that here too. We're watching a very intense line of thunderstorms continuing from about MacArthur down towards Ashland, Kentucky. We still have one cell, and this one has been very slow to move. You've pointed this out a couple times. It's now moving out of the warning polygon, but towards Pomeroy. That one still has, I think, the deepest hail core out of anything, and we could see a new warning there, but boy, that one took quite a long time to go through Vinton and Rio Grande and even towards Cheshire, but that one produced a lot of hail.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And I just want to point out a couple of things. I know that, they canceled the tornado watch for some of the counties to back towards Ross and Pike and Scioto, so that's good. So ILN, they canceled basically the tornado watch for ILN's coverage area, so we'll have to update some things there as that continues to roll in. But just for some of you guys watching right now, I know it's a little bit confusing. We have the video tagged as tornado warning coverage, but we can't change it. For some reason, it's stuck. So there is no active tornado warnings at this time, but unfortunately, we can't get that title to change. So just keep that in mind as well, Nick. But yeah, that most intense storm that I'm particularly seeing right now is moving in to the area that you're talking about in the northern Gallia County. Here we go with some of the wind near Vinton. Be ready for that if you're in that area as well.
Just got a new severe thunderstorm warning, and unfortunately it was also tagged tornado possible, but it includes far northeastern Jackson, southeastern Vinton, northeastern Gallia, all of Meigs County, southern Athens County, and southwestern Washington County, very close to Ken McNatt there. That's for the Ohio counties. And then on the West Virginia side now we're getting a couple of warnings. This is going to include Wood County, West Virginia, Jackson County, West Virginia, Mason County, West Virginia, 70-mile-per-hour winds. Right now they are mentioning that there are some other separate severe storms. They actually did mention the one near Pomeroy, kind of out ahead of the main line. But all storms are moving east at 45 miles per hour, and all storms are capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. They do mention while there's a tornado watch for the area, please be prepared for that. We could see a tornado warning at any time if any of these storms do begin to exhibit some strength on those. But as it stands right now, the northern portion of this line has the newest warning. We'll probably see a new one come up soon for extreme southeastern Gallia, far southeastern Lawrence, most of Mason, and most of Jackson County continuing. But again, we told you that we'd be approaching the I-77 corridor between 1 and 1:30, and based on the new warning goes until 1 o'clock, it should be on the I-77 corridor by the time this warning expires, if not maybe a little bit sooner, if the cells continue to pick up speed. But guys, we are still seeing a very intense line of thunderstorms. We're not going anywhere. Tornado possible signatures continue on these warnings. We're still seeing a lot of hail reports. Some of the wind reports have been kind of slow to come in, but I think they will come in gradually. And I know Brant is working on sending me some pictures. I know there's a lot of pictures I would like to get to. And we'll get to those hopefully as things start to wind down a little bit. I'll start to share some of those with everybody. It'll take me a second to kind of get those gathered up and built into the broadcaster, but I'll get those done as quick as I can. And Brant, do you have something?
Yeah, I just want to jump in here and I say we have seen another spike in power outages in Clinton County now. We are up to 96.6% of Clinton County is without power now. So that is a total of 17,127 customers tracked. So power outages continue to come in, and there's a lot of people in the dark tonight.
Yeah, and also, Nick, while we're looking at that, kind of some of the recap from some of these storms earlier in Clermont County, we're looking at some reports coming out of there, some damage, such as some siding ripped off and some damage there with trees down, and some other things back around the 10:45 marker when we had some of those tornado warnings. So I'm sure that there will be National Weather Service will be doing some surveys across those areas, anywhere we had tornado warnings, to see how much damage was produced, and maybe if there was a tornado, what rating it would be on the enhanced Fujita scale. So we'll have to watch that. I will say, as these continue to move forward, doesn't surprise me on the tornado possible tag. If we zoom in very close to Rio Grande, my favorite city, that it seems like tonight, as we look into that area, we're seeing just a little bit of an inlet there. So I think that's what they're showing near the town of Rio Grande and Vinton. So in that particular area, that's showing some signs of just some weak rotation right now. It is nothing overly concerning, but we're keeping an eye on it. And I think that's why they went ahead and tagged that right now. So just to let you know, we are keeping an eye on that one as well, Nick.
Looks like now they went ahead and issued that new severe thunderstorm warning, as I mentioned, for portions of Gallia County and Mason County. They did not include Jackson County. This one kind of shocked, but 70-mile-per-hour winds and 1-inch hail. They did not tag this one tornado possible because there is actually a separate cell here near the town of Eureka. Let me make sure that that is the correct one that we're watching. Yes, 7 miles south of Gallipolis. Yep, that's going to be that one here near Eureka. They're watching out for quarter-size hail and winds to 70 miles per hour. That's moving east. Again, that is out ahead of the main line, so we may see yet a second severe thunderstorm warning coming from Mason and Gallia County shortly once this main line crosses through. We're going to continue to watch all this very closely with you. Again, Owen Fritz, Brent Warren, Ken McNatt, Nick Dunn, and Zach Batten are all here watching things very closely. And we're going to continue to do so because we're now getting to that overnight time period. A lot of you are asleep. Hopefully you took our warnings seriously a little earlier, that you had that opportunity to hopefully get yourself prepared in the event that you saw thunderstorms rolling through during the nighttime hours. Going to loop the radar for you. Still seeing a little bit of a spinning, kind of maybe a new comet head trying to develop. I'm not going to speak too prematurely on that, but we'll watch up in Vinton County. Kind of the northern end of that line is still spinning just a little bit, likely where some strong winds are occurring. We'll continue to watch and see if we get some power outages there. But other than that, right now we're still watching a very intense line, squall line. Northern part of this line heading up towards right now Athens, Pomeroy, Point Pleasant, eventually over towards Belpre, Little Hocking, Parkersburg. That's going to include portions of US 33, US 50 as well, even portions of I-77 here by 1 o'clock. And then the southern part of this, and the cell there that they just warned south of Point Pleasant, that one just kind of blossomed in the last, 10 or 15 minutes. So some of those spots are going to get hit not once but twice by some severe weather.
Yeah, Gallia County seems to be my favorite county tonight. So I've been watching that one just kind of sit earlier with some large hail. Now they're getting ready to get in on some major wind, some straight line winds as it pushes through some of those cities like Point Pleasant and Eureka and Vinton. All those areas we're watching very closely for maybe some straight line winds, and we continue to see that. The good thing is, if there is a good thing, they're starting not to tag these with tornado possible, only on certain points that we're seeing. So the rest of this line is finally starting to fan out just a little bit. We don't want to overdo it. I see you got some photos there, Nick, that you're popping up on the screen, or you do have on the screen. But Lawrence, we don't want to forget you guys down in Lawrence County as well, and you're going to see some strong winds over the next few minutes. Crown City heads up to you, and down there in Lawrence County, if you're watching from there too, again, just some strong damaging winds here that are possible over the next few minutes.
Speaking of pictures, I've got our ONW inbox popped up, and I know some of you see your names here. We're going to try to get through as many of these pictures and whatnot as we can. But I want you to kind of listen here to the hail. This is going to be coming from, let me get the confirmation as to where this is from. This is Oak Hill. There were some reports of dime-sized hail, and then the hail got a little larger, but you can kind of take a listen here. As you can see, the hail kind of bouncing off the porch there, and kind of bouncing off the cars even there a little bit too. And you can see, looks like the hail is even covering the ground, so not surprising. We've had that accumulating hail a couple of other times this week. Not surprising to see that. Another one that I'll share with you real quick. Jacob Tyler Williams had sent in some pictures. Here is one from Rio Grande, Ohio. That's some. Oh, and you were talking about that cell quite earlier, and there's some confirmation. Quite the large hail there. Ping pong, golf ball. At least that's what I'm seeing. I'm sure you should be able to see that now on the stream there. I've got the radar to the right-hand side. For those of you wondering, just so we can kind of still keep coverage going, but wanted to show some pictures. But and that confirms what you were watching in Rio Grande earlier. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. And some of these points we're seeing, I hate to say it, but accumulating hail. Usually we don't hear that at all, but we had some accumulating hail with these storms. And again, it's kind of fueled along the stationary boundary that's set up over the area today, and it doesn't surprise us because we have this nice gust of winds and these juicy winds behind it, and it's kind of aiding to some of that lift. And when we get some of that lift going on with vertical integrated liquid, or basically rain or condensation, doesn't surprise me that we're seeing some of these in certain areas with some of these storms, seeing some of these very large hailstones, if you will. And I think the largest one I seen tonight that was reported out of this entire event was 1 3/4 or golf ball size hail. So yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see more of those as we get into the morning hours, and some people start start to post those as we get into the morning hour. So wouldn't be surprised to see that at all, Nick.
I'm handling a couple of things here offside with some other things. I'm seeing some people, not understanding that, why is the watch still posted for some areas, and yet, the storms have already moved through. Well, guys, here's how this works, okay? And I'm not going to explain this again, but this kind of upsets me just a little bit. We tell you when the main line comes through you, it's over. The Weather Service has so many things to do on top of issuing warnings. That's their top priority. They could care less what time the watch expires and when they drop it off. That's not their top priority. They will take care of that gradually over time. But understand that once this main line comes through, yes, it will still be raining, gusty winds, and some thunder behind it. But they don't have the time to sit there and expire the watch for every single county as it drops off. So just understand that. That's how that works. I know some people are frustrated, and I get that. I would be too, because we always say that if you're under a watch, conditions are favorable. Well, on top of that, you also have to understand that it takes a line to come through, or storms to come through, and then your threat is over. So that's how that works. So, and I just maybe you can kind of bounce off that too a little bit. I just wanted to kind of express that.
All right, now as Nick is calming down, no, basically what we have there, and I agree. What I think some people are saying there too, Nick, is they seen the watch be canceled for some portions of the ILN area, and so basically what's going on is these lines are pushing through. Then the National Weather Service forecast offices in their coverage area will go ahead and cancel those watches, and it just depends. But if there's maybe something else behind it, but tonight there's not. Once this goes through, it's over. We're telling you that, and the watches in particular will start to drop off as soon as they can get them down. You got to remember, many times these watches are issued by the Storm Prediction Center that is out of Norman, Oklahoma, in conjunction with the local office, and we are seeing some of those things happen. But then the local offices will drop them off eventually when they feel it's safe to do so, and people are out of there. So they're going to do that gradually. So just so you know, that's kind of how it works. And again, these offices are many times they don't have a lot of forecasters on duty. They're only running with kind of some minimal crew there, and they're dealing with answering the telephones, they're dealing with amateur radio, they're dealing with the media, they're dealing with trying to put out warnings, and then they're also trying to do the forecast. They still have to do their forecasts on top of it, and they still have to issue aviation forecasts and some other things. So there's a lot that goes on there that they're trying to do. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now that has been issued for southeastern Gallia County, central Mason County in West Virginia, and north central Putnam County in West Virginia. That goes until 1 o'clock, and we have winds there in excess of 70 miles an hour and quarter-size hail. So make sure that you're seeking shelter and inside away from windows on that one. That one is just issued there for Gallia County. It is returning some strong hail markers once again on the southern part of this line near Eureka. So I wouldn't be surprised again to see some more of those hail reports come in, Nick.
I see they did not bring up that new warning as tornado possible. So hopefully, again, continued signs that we are starting to see things weaken gradually with time. Anyway, I think that's going to be the trend. We're losing instability now that we're getting past that midnight time frame. That one hail picture, I'll bring this back up here real quick. Let me reposition the radar first. I'll go ahead and bring the hail picture back up here. This is going to be also out of Rio Grande, Ohio. So lots of pictures and reports coming in from there. This looking like ping pong to actually more like golf ball size hail based on what I'm seeing in this image. And that is going to be from Winter Lillian out of Rio Grande. So that's one picture that she sent in to us there. And then there was another one, I believe, here too. Here's one out of Vinton, Ohio. This is in Gallia County, Oh, and again, your favorite county tonight. But again, consistent reports of ping pong to golf ball size hail was even likely accumulating and sticking to the ground. Obviously, we want you to wait until that hail is ended before you go out there and take a picture. I would not want to be hit in the head with a golf ball or a ping pong ball, even though ping pongs are not very heavy. But when they're coming down as hail, they are. So I would not want to get hit with that. So just wait until the hail is passed. You can send in video if you can do it safely. If we see something that is not recorded or pictured safely, we will not air that. But here's one again, another picture out of Rio Grande. Large hail very consistently being reported from that neck of the woods there. Okay, and that's kind of where things stand. So I'll drop the pictures there for now, and we'll continue to get some more in there as we have them. But for the time being, that we continue to watch this line of severe thunderstorms. Greatest hail threat now coming into portions of Mason County, West Virginia, near the community of Leon. That's going to be south of Point Pleasant and south of US 35. Also watching for some hail threat, although it is diminishing finally, in Meigs County. That is the same storm that brought in all the hail in Vinton and Rio Grande. So that's where things stand there. That is going to be now passing east of US 33 at this particular point in time. Brant, any new information on power outages right now?
Give me 1 second. I gotta pull up the web. I have so many web browsers open because I'm trying to do multiple things here. It's no new updates. Clinton County still 96% without power. Nearing 30% in Highland County, and most of those are in the northern portion of the county, right where that Comet Head feature, where those strong winds went through earlier. Still about 4% in Pickaway County, and right along the river, Brown County, about 19% without power. Claremont County, 15%, and heading back into the Cincinnati area and Hamilton, about 11% without power. So they're still slowly rolling in. And we'll continue to watch that as we go through the next little bit.
And let's see here, they've canceled the severe thunderstorm for Greenup County, Kentucky. They do continue a tornado possible for Mason County. Oh, actually, that's in addition. They've now added a tornado or severe thunderstorm tornado possible now for Gallia and Lawrence, Ohio. That's actually might be just a continuation. So many warnings we've been going through tonight. It's kind of getting a little mumbled up with all that. So that's kind of where things are. But really, I would still kind of treat all of these. Any one of these severe thunderstorm warnings could produce a tornado. And Gallia County, thankfully, the brunt of the weather is just about over for you. Thankfully, it would be a relief. You guys have been getting hit very hard, especially Rio Grande up towards Vinton. And also, it's going to be kind of north of US 35. You guys will be getting hit especially hard tonight. And thankfully, your threat is about over. Meigs County, you're kind of getting hit very hard now. Also, New Mason County, West Virginia. Lawrence County, your threat's just about over as well. Give it about another 10 or 15 minutes. Things will be wrapped up for you. Vinton County, your threat's almost over. Athens County, I think it's going to really be the far, far southern portion of the county that we have to worry about. Washington County, I think your threat for severe weather is diminishing a little bit as well, but nevertheless, you still have a severe thunderstorm warning that continues until 1 o'clock. And again, right now, I think the greatest threat that I have for potential of hail going to be definitely centered in on Mason County there near the community of Leon and Brighton. You're seeing some very deep purple, some DBZ values around 70. Very, very good indication that we're going to be seeing some large hail, and we'll continue to watch that very closely as well. And with that, Owen, again, we're starting to slowly see things die down gradually. It's going to be a gradual process. It's not just going to be a flip of the switch and we're done. But we are trending in that direction, I think, and I think you would agree.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody's ever watched me and heard me before, I always talk about prime time. Guess what time it is? It's starting to be 1 o'clock. So we're starting to slowly calm down. 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, kind of that prime time when the sun sets. And we have the juicy atmosphere. Sorry about that. We have the juicy atmosphere that's kind of there, but now it's starting to really lose that intensity. And I sent you a current surface map, Nick. Not sure if you can pop that up, but the current surface map, if we're looking at that, you could see these storms very clearly riding along the boundaries tonight. We kind of had a stationary front moving through earlier. Now it's switched over to more of this warm front that kind of fueled some of this, and that was kind of cool. Not cool to see it, but for us weather people, it gets us excited. So we're looking into that, and it followed pretty much on cue. It's following along this stationary boundary in this front as it's pushing off to the east. So it's really interesting. As I speak to that, the largest polygon of the evening has been issued, and we're seeing that pop up on your screen maybe here in just a minute. But the new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued here does not have a tornado possible tag, but it's for a lot of counties in West Virginia, including Mason County, Cabell County, Putnam County. That one's not in our coverage area. Lincoln County, Rowan County, southwestern Clay, southern Jackson County, western Fayette, and Boone County till 1:30. So you'll see that large polygon. I'm not even sure where our coverage area stops down there, but portions of our coverage area is in that, but it does not have a tornado possible tag, which is also a very good sign, Nick.
We have three of those counties. Three of our counties are in that warning, by the way.
I love that. I mean, I don't love that, but you know.
We got Jackson, Mason, and Rowan.
Hopefully we're still alive. The broadcast says interrupted, but hopefully we're still there.
It is. It is
yeah,
interrupted.
Give me 1 second there. I'm not sure what happened. I think we're still live, either on YouTube, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, that's where we're live right now. I think is YouTube, actually. Let's see. I'm not sure what happened there, so give me 1 second while I work on that. We're live on one of our platforms still somewhere. I'm not sure which one at the moment. That's gonna be live on YouTube right now, so bear with me here. I'm not sure what happened to our Facebook feed. I didn't stop anything.
No, it's been acting a little goofy tonight. So what you might want to do, Nick, in this case is
let's go ahead and we can go ahead and wind things down.
Let's go ahead and wind things down for you guys watching on YouTube. Thank you for continuing your coverage with us tonight. If you're somehow still watching us on Facebook, we thank you for watching us right now. We're going to do a quick reset. The good thing is there's no tornado warnings right now, so several of these storms are still exhibiting strength for that linear threat for severe winds and large hail. So make sure if you're in one of these warnings, you're seeking shelter. But we're going to wrap up this coverage real quick, and we're going to do a quick reset, and we'll be coming back here live as needed on YouTube and Facebook.
Because we've got 7, now we've got 9. People are tuning in. I just give them 13, so now it's happening. So
Yep. All right. So, guys,
give 'em a minute.
those of you that are now tuning in on YouTube, thankfully, I went ahead and got this second platform set up for us a couple days ago. You guys are all tuning in now. Forecaster Nick Dunn with Owen Fritz and Brant Warren. Facebook Live is causing us some technical difficulties this evening, so we are transitioning our coverage for the time being over to YouTube for probably just again probably another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap things up here for the time being. Things have weakened considerably over the last several minutes, and hopefully YouTube doesn't decide to crap out on us. But where we stand right now, we're watching everything. We still have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect across southeast Ohio and into West Virginia. Still seeing a lot of hail reports. We're getting a couple of wind damage reports now out of south, right on the Ohio River, actually in Greenup County. We got a tree down across the road there in portions. They actually don't give a city, just said, okay, there's a South Shore in Greenup County. That's kind of where we saw that report. And Owen and Brent, we've been watching this for the better part of the last 3 hours, and we're watching a significant line of storms. Still capable of producing some wind damage, although the threat continues to gradually weaken. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings for Athens, Meigs, Gallia, and Lawrence, also into Washington County, Ohio, and then Wood portions, portions of Wood, Mason, Jackson, and Roane counties into West Virginia. But guys, looking at a much weaker looking line than what we saw over the last couple of hours, but the damage has been done for across our coverage area tonight.
Yeah, I'll take it for a quick. Yeah, it's extensive, and as these lines push off, we're going to continue to see the tornado watches be lifted by the offices as it pushes through. But once this line goes through, you're pretty much done for the evening. That 1-2 punch, maybe some stuff behind it, some strong winds, and some pretty heavy precipitation in parts back behind this. So if you're watching in Jackson County, Vinton County, you're experiencing some of that. But this main line just crossed over the Ohio-West Virginia border. This is the line that we're continuing to watch, exhibiting some strong winds. The tornado threat is not totally over with, but pretty much has diminished greatly here. So hopefully it's over for the night, but we can't totally rule it out. But I think what you're going to see here more the rest of the night is you can see this line is almost perfectly straight now, which is indicative of some straight line winds that you could see. So some very strong winds in excess of 60 miles an hour and some large hail, especially up in Mason County near Leon. We're seeing 1.5 inch hail that's possible, which is ping pong ball size hail. So we're seeing that, and especially also if you're up in Meigs County and the Parkersburg area heads up to you, you're going to see some pretty strong wind gusts here. It might clip the southern portion of Parkersburg. It may not get the whole city, but heads up to you anyway if it tracks just a little bit to the north. But this line again is kind of straightening out. I'm not sure if we're going to continue our coverage, but we may cease coverage and come back live as needed with some updates as we continue to go through the overnight hours, because again, pretty much everybody's under the warning. Our coverage area, we got a couple counties that are not under a warning, or the remaining counties for our coverage area not under a warning, but we'll probably see another warning issued shortly for Wood and Wirt. Ritchie and Pleasants County, wouldn't be surprised to see that issued in a few minutes for that line coming through. Very indicative of just some straight line winds as we're continuing to push off to the east. Go ahead, Brant.
Yeah, I just want to say for anybody, I know Ohio News and Weather coverage area is a bit different. They have a few areas in Indiana and West Virginia that they watch. We're all working in conjunction here. So, yep, there's the one you were just talking about. But I do want to say for anybody for just Ohio Storm Center, we only cover Ohio counties only. And I do want to say that the majority of the threat, except for a few exceptions, including far eastern Meigs County, the main line has exited the state. So the threat is diminished. I think it's moved into West Virginia, so I don't think there's any more threats for Ohio tonight. So if you're watching in Ohio, you can accept in that area I just mentioned. You can go ahead and start to wind down and do your nightly procedures or whatever you do, and we can get on with our normal, hopefully as normal as can be, tomorrow morning. So, Nick, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, guys, that new warning was tagged tornado possible for portions of Athens and Meigs County in Washington and Ohio. Kind of be Marietta and points south. This also includes Parkersburg, Harrisville over to St. Mary's. I'll kind of give you the full rundown of counties in just a minute, but this also includes Ripley and Elizabeth, West Virginia, over towards Pomeroy, down to Spencer. You guys are all in that new warning. So this encompasses Washington, Athens, and Meigs in Ohio. And then in our coverage, we've got Wood, Wirt, Pleasance, Ritchie, Gilmer, Jackson, Roane, and Calhoun counties. There we go. I'm actually getting most of my West Virginia counties memorized now. I'm doing much better with that. And I know Ken McNatt is much more coerced on the West Virginia counties than I am. But nevertheless, still a very nasty line of thunderstorms. You're going to see a lot of heavy rain, some small to medium-sized hail, and maybe the occasional report of large hail. A lot of lightning. The tornado threat, while it's not zero, is dwindling down very, very much so. We do think that's kind of where things stand at the moment. There are several kind of plethoras of comments. I see there's a lot of comments here on YouTube from well outside of our coverage area, so awesome that you guys have found us. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we'll be sure to continue our streams on YouTube as need be, because still not able to get Facebook Live to come up for me. But what we're going to end up doing here now is we're going to kind of wind things down, and we'll do some intermittent kind of coverages where things are going to kind of go from here. Storms are approaching the I-77 corridor. We told you at 1 o'clock that's what was going to be the case. And what time is it? Well, we're going on 1 o'clock, and where are the storms? They're approaching that I-77 corridor, so our track that we drew out a little while ago did very well. I'll give you one last track of where things are expected to be going, and then we're going to wrap up this stream for now. But again, we will come back and on an as-needed basis and kind of more intermittent coverage with that. So as it stands right now, we track this line of storms from near Parkersburg down through more of West Virginia. We'll track it off here again to the east. It's actually, they have it moving almost now due east, and I think that's kind of a fair consensus. They're moving off to the east at about 45 miles per hour. Ripley 12:59, Belpre at 1 o'clock, Parkersburg 1 o'clock. Again, I tracked this out a little bit in advance just because there's always just a little bit of a delay with radar. But Vienna 102, St. Albans 107, and to Dunbar 113, Spencer 120, Glenville 150, Clarksburg at 220, and then again, I think by 2 o'clock this is going to be out of our coverage area altogether. So about another hour or so, we should see things really begin to wind down for the most part. You're going to see a lot of stratiform rain, some heavier rain on the backside, maybe a rumble of thunder, but once this main line crosses through you, you're going to see that severe threat will be all but over. And so we'll give you a quick one last rundown on warnings, and then we'll wrap things up. So right now we have an active severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Washington and Athens and Meigs counties in Ohio, and then Wood, Jackson, Mason, portions of Calhoun, Gilmer, Roane, Wirt, Pleasance, and Ritchie County. This goes until 1:45 in the morning. They actually have that moving east at 75 miles per hour. I think that's quite fast. But tornado possible with this one. Treat it as a tornado warning. Be in your safe place. Hail to 1 inch in diameter, winds to 70 miles per hour. Not seeing any one particular spot on the line, at least right now that sticks out to me, but that potential for damaging winds will continue. In fact, the velocity image not really foretelling of just how strong some of the winds could be, but we will continue to watch that very closely. Not seeing anything that at least overly jumps out to me, unless you're down in portions of Mason County near Leon. We're seeing a couple of appendages on the line there, but not looking like a very widespread event. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Mason and Jackson and Roane counties in West Virginia until 1:30, kind of the southern portions of those counties near and south of US 33. That'll be for hail to 1 inch in diameter, winds to 70 miles per hour, and that also encompasses the far eastern portions of Gallia County that has been hit especially hard tonight with hail, and that's where things stand. Owen, are you the only spot that I'm seeing anything right now worth noting is going to be in Mason County near Leon, and it's kind of just to the west of Ripley. I think that's the only spot that I can really see anything, and that might really be now coming into more very closer to Ripley. Now that's the only spot that I can really see anything of interest on the velocity image.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. And again, I think you're hitting that right on the head. I think we're going to see more of this just be a linear threat. Pretty much the rest of our coverage area was under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. Again, as this moves through, you're just going to see some winds and maybe some large hail in certain spots, but just take shelter indoors and stay away from windows, because again, the good thing is the tornado threat, like you said, is not non-zero. We do have the potential to see a quick spin up, but it is very close to non-zero. So that's a very good sign as we've moved through this evening. So hopefully it will continue that way as we move through the overnight hours. But again, just more of that linear threat. More of that linear threat as we continue to move through the overnight hours, Nick.
Yeah, so with that, guys, for right now, I know we got about 100 people watching on YouTube. Make sure all of you are hitting the subscribe button. We're going to work on trying to get Facebook fixed, or maybe Facebook can just fix it for us. I think would be the much better usage. They're not sure exactly what happened. We'll try to get that fixed, but if not, then we're going to likely come back live on YouTube probably by maybe 1:30 to 2 o'clock. We'll give you, it'll be very brief synopsis unless we get a tornado warning, but showing the velocity image right now between Pomeroy down towards Leon. That's where we're seeing perhaps some of the strongest winds, the best chance of any kind of rotation pumping up right now, coming into eastern Mason and then coming into portions of Jackson County near Ripley, south of US 33 along I-77 here in the next couple of minutes. So again, for right now, we're going to wrap up coverage here on YouTube. We still have a plethora of severe thunderstorm warnings from Marietta down to Spencer, over to Harrisville and close to Glenville. Please seek shelter as these storms approach. Move indoors when thunder roars. And we're going to continue to monitor the storms for you. Again, we'll be back probably within the next half hour or so, and maybe even longer than that, depending on how these thunderstorms behave. I'm forecaster Nick Dunn reporting here for Zach Batten in the comments section with Ken McNabb, Owen Fritz up in Sandusky County in the Clyde Fremont area, and Brant Warren in Circleville and Pickaway County. I'm Nick Dunn from Columbus. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. Thanks for watching us on YouTube, and we'll be back live as needed here with more severe weather coverage. Have a great night, everybody.